Chapter 579. Did I allow you to leave? It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck down from the nine heavens, causing Jiang Qingming and the gorgeous woman to tremble. They stood where they were and slowly turned around. Their faces were as ugly as bitter gourds. Say, Senior. The two knelt in front of Sun Hao, shivering. Senior, please spare me. You can't blame us. We were just following orders. Senior, this has nothing to do with us. Sun Hao looked at the two of them and asked, Where is Uluwadi? Where are you keeping him? Uluwadi? Jiang Qingming's face was full of doubt as he thought to himself. A moment later, he raised his eyebrows. Senior, are you asking about the nine-tailed celestial fox that I caught not long ago? Aren't you talking nonsense? Sun Hao's voice was cold. Say, Senior, half a month ago, Lord Li was sent to the capital city. I believe he is already in the capital city, Jiang Qingming said. What? Sun Hao released his momentum, stretched out his claws, and grabbed Jiang Qingming's neck. Jiang Qingming's face was flushed. He had difficulty breathing, and his hands were flailing wildly. Senior, please spare my life. Sensing the irresistible power, Jiang Qingming kept begging for mercy. Bang! Sun Hao released his hand and threw Jiang Qingming to the ground. Hu Luoxian's expression changed indeterminately as he watched all of this. Young master, how strong is he exactly? It can easily pinch a demon saint to death. It's an unimaginable existence. Could it be that he is stronger than the young master? It's hard to say. From the looks of it, I can only hope that he's not an enemy. Hu Luoxian had just finished his words. Thud! The sound of footsteps rang out. He saw Sun Hao walking towards Hu Luoxian step by step, looking at the ordinary-looking man in front of him. How could he guess that this was Sun Hao? Every step was like stepping on Hu Luoxian's chest, causing his heart to beat violently. Senior, Hu Luoxian cupped his fists in greeting. Don't stand on ceremony. Sun Hao personally helped Hu Luoxian up. Hu Luoxian's body trembled as he revealed a shocked expression. Why was this senior in front of him treating him so well? What did he mean by being so polite? Thank you, Senior, Hu Luoxian said gratefully. I'll leave those two little fellows to you. Sun Hao pointed at Jiang Qingming and said, This finger was like the nine hells finger, causing Jiang Qingming and Zhang Xian to tremble violently. Senior, you really want me to deal with them? Hu Luoxian showed a look of disbelief. Do you think I'm lying? Sun Hao said, Thank you, Senior. Hu Luoxian cupped his fists in greeting. Step by step, he walked toward Jiang Qingming. Anger surged within Hu Luoxian. His eyes were bloodshot, as if he wanted to eat Jiang Qingming alive. Don't kill me. Jiang Qingming wanted to use the power in his body, but he found that his demon crystal seemed to have lost connection with him, and he couldn't use any energy at all. Jiang Qingming, from the moment you touched my sister, you were destined to die by my hands. Thank you, Senior, for bringing this moment forward. Die. Hu Luoxian bellowed, his palm turned into a claw, and grabbed Jiang Qingming's head. No, the shouts stopped abruptly. Bang! Jiang Qingming's head was directly split open by Hu Luoxian, and red and white matter splattered everywhere. A demon crystal was caught in Hu Luoxian's hand. Such a scene strongly stimulated everyone's nerves. Everyone's eyes widened, and they were shocked. Such a powerful city lord had actually died such a miserable death. The strength of the person in front of him was too terrifying. The glamorous woman looked at Hu Luoxian, her whole body trembling violently, her chest surging, and it was difficult to calm down. Master, spare my life. This little one is just following orders. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to be your attendant. The glamorous woman said one sentence at a time, constantly begging for mercy. However, Hu Luoxian did not respond to her, but just looked at her coldly. Dang! Hu Luoxian took a step and walked toward the glamorous woman step by step. The blood on the claw kept dripping, turning into a line of blood. It looked exceptionally ferocious. The glamorous woman looked at this scene and was scared to death. Die! Without any nonsense, Hu Luoxian stretched out his claws, aimed at the glamorous woman's head, and grabbed it. Gotcha! the sound of bones breaking sounded. The glamorous woman's head burst open, and her body fell softly. After twitching a few times, there was no movement. She didn't let out a scream until she died. Dead? It's too scary. This person is like a god of death, scaring me to death. Looking at Hu Luoxian, everyone was horrified, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Facing Hu Luoxian's gaze, they lowered their heads one after another, not daring to look at him. After sweeping around, Hu Luoxian retracted his gaze. He turned around and looked at Sun Hao, showing a grateful expression. "Thank you, Senior. I have finished dealing with it." Hu Luoxian saluted Sun Hao with his fists. "You killed them?" Sun Hao's voice was cold. Hearing this, Hu Luoxian's body trembled. He showed a puzzled look and looked at Sun Hao in a daze. "I asked you to deal with them, not to kill them. You have ancient bloodline, and your killing intent is so strong. If this goes on, won't the entire demon ancestral realm be in chaos because of you?" Sun Hao said. Senior Hu Luoxian was about to speak, but Sun Hao interrupted him directly. "You people, the killing is too serious. I can't keep you." After speaking, Sun Hao stretched out his hand and waved forward. A gust of wind whistled through the entire hall. Everyone's face changed drastically, and they quickly closed their eyes, not daring to look at all this. When the gust stopped, everyone opened their eyes one after another. What they saw was only a flying ash scattered on the ground. The people brought by Hu Luoxian all disappeared in place. Dead, all dead. My God, don't say it, will we all die? Everyone muttered to themselves, their whole body crawling on the ground, not daring to look at Sun Hao's eyes. Seeing this scene, Sun Hao nodded with satisfaction. His figure flashed and disappeared in place instantly, until Sun Hao disappeared for half an hour. That senior is gone. A cry of alarm jolted everyone back to their senses. They looked up at the stage, and after seeing that Sun Hao was not there, they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Everyone stood up one after another, showing the joy of surviving a disaster. Who was that senior just now? His means are so terrifying. Kill when you say, move according to your heart. We can actually see such a character. Is he the legendary demonic ancestor Li Hua? As soon as these words came out, everyone's expression stagnated. For a while, they were stunned in place and didn't move for a long time. It's very likely that it's so easy to kill the demon saint. In addition to those few, it's the extremely mysterious demonic ancestor Li Hua. It's true, the demonic ancestor Li Hua is straightforward, and the two are exactly the same. The news that Sun Hao was the demonic ancestor Li Hua, with the city lord's mansion as the center, quickly spread in all directions. Chapter 580. Young Master? Hu Luoxian and Hu Luoadi stared at Sun Hao blankly, revealing a look full of disbelief. Surprise, disbelief, gratitude. All kinds of emotions were constantly intertwined on their faces. Is it really you? Hu Luoadi ran to Sun Hao, staring at him with seductive eyes. Yes, it's me. Sun Hao nodded slightly. Young Master, thank you. Hu Luoadi wept with joy and cried loudly. It took a long time for her to calm down. Wiping away her tears, Hu Luoadi looked at Sun Hao and asked, Young Master, why did you come to the demon ancestral realm? I heard that Miss Rumung was... I asked if she was rescued. Sun Hao smiled bitterly. She is missing. Withdrawing his emotions, Sun Hao looked at the two and said, Tell me about your situation. The two nodded and began to talk. One day, a vortex suddenly appeared over the demon ancestral mountain. This vortex could attract the power of heaven and earth. It formed a terrifying force that sucked all the demons into it. Originally, everyone would die without a doubt. After waking up, they found that they had come to a new world, but everyone was scattered everywhere. After exploring, they found that this world could trigger the ancient bloodline and open the path of ancestry. Hu Luoadi exposed his ancient bloodline in a treasure hunt. As a result, the emperor of the Misty Demon Kingdom sent many experts to capture him. After many escapes, he finally fell into the hands of Jiang Qingming. When Hu Luoxian heard the news, he naturally came to rescue at all costs. However, he just fell into Jiang Qingming's trap. If it weren't for Sun Hao's arrival, everyone would have been captured. By the way, what about Senior Hu Liena? Sun Hao asked. Hearing this, Hu Luoxian's expression was gloomy and bitter. Mother fell into the hands of the state preceptor. She must be captured in the imperial capital now. Hu Luoxian said. The imperial capital? State preceptor? Sun Hao was puzzled. Young master, where we are now is the territory of the misty demon kingdom in the demon ancestral realm, and the imperial capital is the capital of the misty demon kingdom. There are many powerful demon saints there, and the strength of the demon kingdom king has reached the 7th level of the demon saint realm. Hu Luoxian said. The 7th level of the demon saint realm? What realm is that Li Zhu in just now? Sun Hao asked. 2 years ago, I heard that he had just stepped into the demon saint realm, said Hu Luoxian. Sun Hao frowned, revealing a thoughtful look. The demonic saint realm is the same as the sage realm. If there's a ranking system, wouldn't it mean that I'm currently in the 2nd layer sage realm? No wonder he's so weak. Doesn't that mean that the monarch of the Yao kingdom won't be easy to deal with? Could that powerful divine sense be him? Thinking of this, Sun Hao looked at Hu Luoxian and continued to speak. Can you sense a powerful divine sense sweeping across the entire demon ancestral realm? Powerful divine will? The two of them frowned and pondered for a while before shaking their heads. Young master, you can sense it. Perhaps it was released by a demon saint. However, to be able to scan the entire demon ancestral realm, even the monarch of a demon nation can't do it. Unless it's the mysteriously fire demonic ancestor, said Hu Luoxian. Demonic ancestor Li Hua? Sun Hao asked. Young master, the Li fire demonic ancestor is extremely mysterious. He has been guarding the demonic ancestral realm for 1,000,000 years. No one can know his strength and identity. Young master, you can sense the demonic ancestor Li Hua. Your soul is really powerful. Hu Luoxian and Hu Luoxian's faces showed a look of worship. Don't praise me. By the way, I just heard Li Zhu say something about a strange battle. What's going on? Sun Hao asked. Young master, we also inquire about this matter for a long time, and we only know a little bit. Things have to start from 1,000,000 years ago. One day, the heavenly Tao came to the demon ancestral realm. So, every 10,000 years, a son of the heavenly Tao will be born. He is the spokesperson of the heavenly Tao and can control some of the heavenly Tao laws. In the entire demon ancestral realm, he is a heavenly existence, and no one can shake his position. In order to obtain the son of the heavenly Tao, the world started a strange battle. The winning side can go to meet the son of the heavenly Tao. Hu Luoxian said. Hearing this, Sun Hao was even more puzzled. What does this have to do with capturing the ancient bloodline demons? Young master, we don't understand this very well. We only know that the more demons with ancient bloodline are captured, the greater the chance of winning. Hu Luoxian said. Sun Hao stood in place and kept thinking. Soul poison, strange battle, powerful divine sense, heavenly Tao, son of the heavenly Tao, all of this, like a thick fog, rushed towards Sun Hao. It fascinated him in the middle, regardless of the 4 directions. Above the saint is the Holy Spirit. I don't know how strong it will be when I reach that realm. Sun Hao's mind moved, and his divine sense scanned the entire soul space. A surge of power of faith rushed towards Sun Hao, quickly enhancing his strength. In another day, I will break through to the 3rd stage of the saint realm. It's time to go to the imperial capital to see. Thinking of this, Sun Hao swept his eyes on the two. By the way, do you have any news about Senior Yuli? Sun Hao asked. No. The two shook their heads slightly. We suspect that Senior Yuli may have been caught. Was she also caught by the Misty Demon Kingdom King? No. It is likely that she was caught by the Fire Phoenix Demon Kingdom King. Hu Luoxian said. Fire Phoenix Demon Kingdom? Is it comparable to the Misty Demon Kingdom? Sun Hao asked. Not only that, the Fire Phoenix Demon Kingdom's national power is even stronger. These two great demon kingdoms are the top forces in the demon ancestral realm. The war was led by them, and the major demon kingdoms and small forces have attached themselves to them, resulting in a battle of life and death. Hu Luoxian said. Understanding this, Sun Hao nodded slightly. In that case, you stay here and cultivate. Leave the matter of saving your mother to me. Sun Hao said. Young master, how can this be? Hu Luoxian showed a look of embarrassment. There is nothing impossible. This is my soul space, enough for you to break through to the demon saint realm. Only then can you help me. Sun Hao's words were like thunder from the ninth heaven, blasting the two people's expressions, and they did not recover for a long time. This is the soul space? I thought I returned to the human world. Young master is really too strong. This is not smaller than the human world. Oh my God, this is such a sacred chi, not to mention becoming a demon saint. Even becoming a Holy Spirit is not impossible. The two muttered to themselves and looked around in a daze. When the two came back to their senses, they found that Sun Hao had already disappeared in place. Young master saved us again. There is no way to repay this kindness. Hu Luoxi muttered to himself with a grateful face. This is not simple. Cultivate hard and reach the saint realm. No, the Holy Spirit realm, so that we can become useful pawns in young master's hands. After speaking, Hu Luoxian left quickly. Wait for me. Hu Luoxi quickly followed. The two found a place and began to cultivate. Chapter 581. Misty Demon Kingdom, the central square of the imperial capital. The registration for the battle has begun. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for 10,000 years. Finally, I've been waiting for this day. Me too. This time, I must enter the battlefield. There was an excited and enthusiastic voice in the entire square. Sun Hao stood in the crowd and watched all of this quietly, like a bystander. It is said that this battle is different from the past. The first major affiliated country has joined our Misty Empire camp. What? Blue Moon Kingdom joined? Really? Of course it's true. I saw the people from their country yesterday. Hey, in this case, doesn't it mean that they're going to occupy hundreds of places? Do we still have a chance? There are only 10,000 places every time. It's too difficult. The sound of discussion continued. Sun Hao frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. The third level of the Saint Realm. In another half a month, there is hope to break through to the fourth level of the Saint Realm. The king is at the seventh level of the Saint Realm. I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with him. The National Master is also at the third level of the Saint Realm. There is also the mysterious demonic ancestor Lihua. I have to keep a low profile. In that case, I'll go to the battlefield first and see what tricks they are playing. Sun Hao thought secretly and made a decision. Time passed little by little. Half an hour later, the sky shook and several figures fell from the sky. The leader, dressed in a black robe, just standing there, gave people a sense of power without anger. He stroked his long black beard and released his aura. The surging sage realm aura swept the world like a tsunami, enveloping the entire square. Everyone's figure stagnated. A chill surged through their whole body, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. What a terrifying aura. This is the senior of the demonic saint realm. What senior? That's the National Master. What? The National Master came in person? There were constant exclamations. After looking at the National Master, many people withdrew their gaze and lowered their heads to show respect. The terrifying pressure came quickly and left even faster. In just a moment, everyone recovered. The battle is about to begin. By the order of the king, I came to lead the registration for the battle. Thanks to the king, the number of places that can enter the battlefield this time has increased from 10,000 to 100,000. The words just fell. The whole scene was shocked. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. What? 100,000 spots? My God! Great! There's a 100% chance this time to be able to enter the alien battlefield. This life is enough. Cries of surprise could be heard. After a long time, the scene gradually quieted down. Next, we will enter the arena. Anyone who wishes to sign up for the variant battle, just raise your hand. I will send you into the arena. If you win, you will be able to enter the arena. All right, raise your hands to register. Let's begin. After this sound, everyone raised their hands, afraid that the Grand Preceptor would not be able to see it. Even Sun Hao raised his hand unhurriedly. Buzz, waves of terrifying suction force enveloped everyone. The scenery changed, and Sun Hao appeared on a circular competition platform. Hundreds of demons of different appearances stood around him. Moreover, one could not see the end of such a stage. Roughly speaking, there were at least 100,000 of them. There were spectator stands around each of the fighting stages. On the viewing platform, there were tens of thousands of demons watching the battle. Such a grand scene could not be described with words. What? The Demon King even dares to sign up. On the viewing platform, someone immediately noticed Sun Hao. Fuck, it's really the Demon King. Is he going to court death? The Demon King dares to participate in a variant battle? I bet this Demon King won't last more than 3 seconds. 3 seconds? Hee hee, then you're overestimating him. I dare say that in a second, he will be smashed to pieces. The sound of discussion continued. On the platform where Sun Hao was, many people also noticed him. However, they just glanced at him and did not take it to heart. Soon after, the referee walked to the stage, looked at the crowd, and said, "There are no rules, no restrictions on means, but anyone who falls out of the stage is considered to have failed. The only person who can stand on the stage can enter the battlefield. If there are more than 2 people standing on the stage, everyone will be eliminated. The time is half an hour. Now start the competition." After this sound, ding, boom, boom, the sound of explosions continued. The other platforms had started the crazy attack mode. All kinds of skills bloomed with dazzling light, illuminating the sky. One by one, the opponents who participated in the competition were quickly blasted off the platform. Some were even directly blasted into flying ash, and the flying demon crystal was not left behind. Everyone used all their means and attacked the people on the stage crazily. On the platform where Sun Hao stood, no one had moved for the time being. Everyone looked at the people around them with a look of fear. After waiting for a moment, "This old man has waited for 10,000 years. This place is mine. Whoever fights with me, don't blame this old man for being ruthless." A gray-haired old man finally couldn't hold back, and he took the lead to stand up. Buzz, the old man released his aura, and the surging pressure of the God Emperor realm enveloped the entire platform. At this moment, the faces on the platform changed drastically, and their legs trembled uncontrollably. This is the Demon Emperor, too terrifying. How can it be a 5th-grade Demon Emperor? How can I be so unlucky? There are 100,000 platforms, but I can meet the Demon Emperor. AI, with the Demon Emperor here, how can I still have a share in this battle? Everyone looked at the old man, showing a look of fear. On the field, apart from Sun Hao, there was a man in a red robe with a calm expression. Such a scene not only surprised the people on the scene, but also surprised everyone on the platform. They stared blankly at the old man, showing an unbelievable expression. What kind of luck do I have to be able to see the battle of the Demon Emperor? This ticket is worth buying. I can feast my eyes. My luck is really good. Everyone's face changed from surprise to surprise. Look, suddenly, a cry of exclamation sounded. Looking along this person's hand, everyone's eyes were staring at Sun Hao. What? This is impossible. Fake, it must be fake. How can a Demon King resist the pressure of the Demon Emperor? Shouldn't he be smashed to pieces? Could it be that the pressure of the Demon Emperor is fake? Such a voice awakened the old man. He narrowed his eyes and stared directly at Sun Hao. How can a Demon King resist this old man's pressure? He must be pretending. I like to see how long you can resist. The old man snorted coldly, releasing the pressure with all his strength, enveloping Sun Hao. However, Sun Hao still stood there calmly, and his face did not change. This is impossible. The old man's face changed slightly, looking at Sun Hao seriously. Chapter 582. Is he not a Demon King realm, but a Demon Emperor realm powerhouse? Impossible. How can his Demon King aura hide from this old man's secret method? Is he a body cultivator powerhouse? Thinking of this, The old man showed a look of realization. He withdrew his pressure, avoided Sun Hao, and continued to envelop others. Kacha, a burst of joint-cracking sounds rang out. Everyone's bodies seemed to be carrying several mountains, and for a while, they couldn't breathe smoothly. Jump down by yourself. Otherwise, don't blame this old man for being rude. The old man's voice was cold, and his whole person increased a bit more momentum. The joint-cracking sounds erupted again, and everyone's faces changed again and again. Many people couldn't resist this kind of pressure at all and directly knelt on the ground. Even walking was more difficult. It's really bad luck. I can't participate in this battle. Hey, let's go, life matters. With extremely unwilling expressions, many people jumped off the circular battle platform one by one. Soon, there were only a few dozen people left in the competition field. You want this old man to take action? The old man looked at the remaining people, swept his eyes, and said coldly, "We have prepared for thousands of years for this battle. How can I give up so easily? That's right. One step to heaven, one step to earth. Life and death have long been out of consideration. Everyone together, beat him down, and then we will decide the winner." Okay. After speaking, dozens of people rushed over like wolves and tigers. Sun Hao looked at this scene and was secretly surprised. What is this battle? Why are they so obsessed? Sun Hao looked at the dozens of people who rushed forward, his face unchanged. Damn it. The old man looked at these people who rushed forward and cursed. Since you want to die, don't blame this old man for being ruthless. With a kick of his hind legs, the old man disappeared instantly. When he appeared again, he had already arrived in front of the man who rushed to the front. He raised his claws and grabbed the man's head. You want to hurt me with this? The man smiled coldly, and when he was about to use his body technique, he couldn't help but freeze in place. He was horrified to find that the space around him seemed to be imprisoned, and he couldn't move at all. No, the man's pupils contracted, showing a face of unwillingness, and let out a hysterical cry. Boom! A sound like a watermelon bursting rang out. The man's head burst open, and red and white matter splattered everywhere. He fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and then stopped moving. All of this happened as fast as lightning, and dozens of people were stunned. They stood where they were, afraid to move forward. Who else? The old man's ferocious gaze swept past, and anyone who came into contact with it retreated, not daring to look him in the eye. What should we do? What else can we do? Wasn't it just death? I've been preparing for thousands of years for this moment. Everyone, let's charge together. If we participate in the variant war, we will have a chance to enter the heaven realm. For the sake of becoming a demon saint, charge. After a moment of shock, the crowd charged forward once more. Enter the heaven realm? Become a demon sage? Sun Hao listened to this and nodded secretly. No wonder they were so infatuated with it. Can we really enter the heaven realm? No matter what, going to the alien battlefield to take a look is not a bad thing. I need time to break through. Sun Hao glanced at the soul space, and his eyes bloomed with a strange light. The stronger the believers became, the more power of faith they would contribute to him. At the same time, his strength was improving faster and faster. This feeling was as if he could enhance his strength without cultivating. Withdrawing his mood, Sun Hao stared at the old man. He saw. Damn it! The old man cursed secretly. His gaze swept to the red-robed man not far from the stage. A hint of fear flashed across his face. Originally, he was going to accumulate strength and fight with the red-robed man. Unexpectedly, it backfired and it didn't work. Although they were only in the demon-venerable realm, there was nothing to worry about. But there were many people. If this went on, the demon chi would be exhausted, and the red-robed man would reap the benefits. As for Sun Hao, he was just a demon king. No matter how strong his physical body was, how could he be his opponent? He didn't take it to heart at all. Boom! There was an explosion. Another man's head was smashed by the old man, and his demon crystal was taken out. The ferocious scene did not make the crowd retreat. On the contrary, they rushed forward desperately. All kinds of moves were madly used. Boom! The loud noise continued. Many moves hit the old man, but they didn't cause much damage to him. On the contrary, he could tear a few men apart with a casual grab. After a few times, there were less than 20 people standing around the old man. They looked at the old man, and the expressions on their faces changed. There were even a few people whose legs had been trembling. "Do you still want to fight? Come on." The old man looked at the remaining people, and his lips were full of blood, looking particularly ferocious. "The demon emperor is too powerful. Everyone, let's go together. He is exhausted." A man roared, turned around, and jumped directly into the competition stage. Such a scene immediately woke up the others. One by one, they jumped off the competition stage. Looking at the scarlet competition stage, everyone's face showed the joy of surviving a disaster. Damn, the demon emperor is really powerful. He killed so many demon venerables with his bare hands. Who can compare? It's so wonderful, so powerful. Now, there are only 3 people left. Who do you think will stand until the end? That goes without saying, of course. It's this gray-haired senior. That's not necessarily. I think the red-robed man is also an unfathomable person. Such discussions kept ringing. They were all around the old man and the red-robed man. As for Sun Hao, he seemed to be forgotten at this moment, like a transparent person. That kid in white is still standing there. Finally, someone found Sun Hao and pointed to him. Him was a body cultivator. That's right. His realm is only at the Demon King realm. How can he be the opponent of the Demon Emperor? I can guarantee that when they fight later, he will be smashed into powder by the aftermath. Sun Hao turned a deaf ear to these voices. He stood calmly on the stage, motionless. "Little guy, are you going to jump down by yourself? Or will this old man grab you into powder?" The old man looked at the red-robed man, showing a fierce look. The red-robed man grinned, with his hands behind his back, and did not respond to the old man. The old man's face changed slightly, showing a cautious look. If the threat didn't work, then the kid in front of him would be a hard bone to chew. Who is he? What realm has his strength reached? The old man used a secret method to release it on the red-robed man. It swept from head to tail, and from tail to head. However, after exhausting all methods, he couldn't see the realm of the red-robed man. Even his aura couldn't be detected. If he wasn't standing there, it would not be easy to find him. To be able to hide his aura to this extent, this kid is not simple. But with this method, you want to scare this old man away. Die. The old man showed a cruel smile, stepped forward, and disappeared instantly. Chapter 583. Buzz, the space trembled. A blood-colored claw broke the sky. The light of the whole world seemed to lose its color and dimmed in an instant. In the darkness, the sharp claw, as red as blood, stretched down from the sky and pounced on the old man. The old man opened his mouth wide and murmured for a long time without spitting out a word. An indescribable fear spread all over his body. At this moment, he just wanted to escape. However, his legs were like lead, and it was difficult to move at all. Even moving a finger was extremely difficult. This is a demon saint. My God, the old man muttered to himself, his eyes showing uncontrollable panic. He could only watch the sharp claw in the sky grab down, and he was powerless. "Spare me," the old man muttered to himself and kept begging for mercy. "Those who threaten this seat are all dead." This voice was not loud, but it was full of endless majesty. No, the old man let out a hysterical roar. Then, boom, there was an explosion. There was only this sound left in the whole world. The blood-colored claw grabbed the old man's head, and his head instantly burst open. Then the whole body also collapsed into a blood mist. The breath on the old man's body was all absorbed by the blood-colored claw, leaving nothing behind. The world regained its light, and everyone regained consciousness, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. They looked at the red-robed man, full of awe. My God, I can actually see the demon saint in action. It's too terrifying, too powerful. Why does the demon saint also participate in the battle? All the sacred chi in the world is in the heaven realm. If the demon saint wants to break through, he can only go to the heaven realm. So that's how it is. Who is he? Such terrifying strength. I think he must have a name. I know, he must be the ancient spirit blood demon. What? It's him? My God. He is a peerless demon saint who survived from ancient times. I didn't expect that he is still alive. Such a peerless demon saint. I can actually see it? This isn't a dream, right? The exclamations continued, and for a while, they couldn't stop at all. The whole scene was extremely explosive. Buzz. The sky shook, and a figure broke through the air and stood in the sky. The person who came was the imperial advisor of the Misty Demon Kingdom. He stood in front of the ancient spirit blood demon and cupped his fists respectfully. Greetings, senior ancient spirit. You're a few realms higher than me. You don't have to be so polite. The ancient spirit blood demon said lightly. Senior, you're a demon almighty. Even if my cultivation level is higher than yours, it doesn't mean anything. It's only right to show respect to senior. The imperial advisor bowed respectfully. Yes. The ancient spirit blood demon nodded slightly and motioned for the imperial master to leave. Senior, I'll take my leave. With that, the imperial tutor stepped into the air and disappeared without a trace. Only Sun Hao and the ancient spirit blood demon were left in the entire arena. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Sun Hao. What's wrong with this kid? Could it be that you want Senior to take action? No way. Is this kid courting death? Senior didn't attack him because he didn't have a high cultivation base, but he actually thinks that he can't defeat him. If it were me, I would really want to slap this ignorant brat to death. What's the rush? It's fine if you don't make a move, but once you do, you'll definitely turn him into minced meat. The ancient spirit blood demon looked at Sun Hao and frowned slightly. Little guy, I don't mean to hurt you. You can go down by yourself. The ancient spirit blood demon said. Little guy, you go down by yourself? I don't want to hurt you, Sun Hao said. As soon as these words came out, there was dead silence all around. Everyone's eyes widened, showing an incredulous expression. My God, this kid is crazy. He actually calls himself, I dare to imitate senior ancient spirit blood demon's words? Don't want to live? Even the imperial advisor is so respectful when he sees senior ancient spirit blood demon. He's just a kid. How dare he talk so big? Isn't he afraid of breaking his teeth? The whole scene was extremely explosive. Even the ancient spirit blood demon's mouth twitched slightly at this moment, and his expression was ugly. He was the first one who dared to talk to him like this. Do you really think I have a good temper? I don't dare to kill you, right? Little guy, in this way, do you want to compete with me? The ancient spirit blood demon's voice was cold. On his body, a stream of blood chi rushed into the sky like a raging stream, forming a giant blood-colored cloud, covering the whole world. Squeak! A strange cry came from the blood cloud, and it was particularly frightening to hear it. Buzz! The sky trembled, and blood-red claws emerged from the blood cloud, rushing straight to where Sun Hao was. Wow! A stream of blood-colored silk threads fell straight down from the blood-red claws, enveloping Sun Hao. The surrounding space seemed to be unable to withstand this kind of pressure and was quickly cracking apart. Even the protective array was trembling constantly, as if it would explode at any time. This is too terrible. The array is going to collapse. Run. It's over. Senior Ancient Spirit is angry. Will it be a disaster to the fish in the moat? Voices of horror rang in the viewing platform. They wanted to escape, but their bodies didn't listen to them. They could only watch those sharp claws fall, and they were powerless to do anything. Kid, this is the result of offending me. In my Azura blood prison, your soul and body will be devoured. The stronger your body, the more vigorous your chi and blood will be, which is a great supplement for the Azura blood prison. The ancient spirit blood demon looked at Sun Hao with a cruel smile. Sun Hao stood in place, motionless. That look as if he was scared silly, seeing that those sharp claws in the sky were about to hit Sun Hao. At this time, Sun Hao suddenly raised his head, and his eyes swept over the sharp claws. Immediately, squeak, a strange cry resounded through heaven and earth. These sharp claws, as if they were subjected to a terrifying power, burst apart one by one. The blood clouds in the sky all disappeared. The surrounding instantly returned to calm. Everyone looked up at the sky blankly, showing a look of disbelief. What's going on? Why did Senior Ancient Spirit break through and stop? No, look at Senior Ancient Spirit. His face is pale, and he seems to be injured. What? How did he get injured? I didn't see anyone make a move. It can't be that kid disintegrated Senior Ancient Spirit's move with a glance, right? This sound, like thunder from the ninth heaven, blasted everyone's face pale. How could such an unimaginable scene have appeared? If not, why would the ancient spirit blood demon be injured? Doubt was written all over everyone's face. They looked at Sun Hao with torch-like eyes, as if they wanted to see through Sun Hao. However, after exhausting the secret method, Sun Hao was like an ordinary demon king, with nothing special at all. The next second, the reaction of the ancient spirit blood demon stunned everyone even more, and their eyeballs fell to the ground. How is this possible? It's fake, right? My God, what did I see? Chapter 584. The ancient spirit blood demon walked to Sun Hao, aimed at him, and knelt down. Greetings, demonic forefatherly fire. As soon as these words came out, the entire scene fell into a dead silence. Everyone stared blankly at Sun Hao, and the expressions on their faces changed. Fear, awe, disbelief, all kinds of emotions intertwined on their faces. Oh my God, that's the Li Fire demonic ancestor. I didn't expect him to be the demonic ancestor Li Hua. The Li Fire demonic ancestor has come out? This can't be real, right? Fake my ass. Not long ago, the demonic ancestor Li Hua killed many monsters with ancient bloodlines in Chongming City because of an action. Is it really the Li Fire demonic forefather? Everyone's eyes were fixed on Sun Hao. Their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Did I just call the demon ancestor a kid? Is he courting death? We're doomed. The Li Hua demonic ancestor has a bad temper and kills without batting an eye. It's possible that he'll kill us all. Gradually, everyone's expression turned into one of despair and regret. They lowered their heads and did not dare to look at Sun Hao's eyes. His body began to tremble uncontrollably. At this moment, Sun Hao was also stunned in place. Demonic forefatherly fire? How did I become the Li Fire demonic ancestor? Should I admit it or not? For a while, Sun Hao couldn't make a decision. Buzz space trembled. Figures walked out of the ripples and stood in front of Sun Hao. The person in the lead was wearing a yellow robe and emitting an emperor's aura. This person was the ruler of the misty demon kingdom, Yao Jiutian. Standing beside Yao Jiutian were many men and women dressed in embroidered clothes. The China division was among them. Every single one of them exuded the aura of a sage, causing others to not dare to look at them directly. Paying respects to Senior Li Hua, Yao Jiutian took the lead, directly bent down, and gave Sun Hao a big salute. Their orderly voices were filled with boundless reverence. Sun Hao stood in place, sensing the surging aura in Yao Jiutian's body, and his heart was a little scared. However, there was no expression on his face. He clasped his hands behind his back and stood there calmly. He had no intention of asking Yao Jiutian to turn around. Yao Jiutian bowed on the spot, his expression changing. Senior did not allow us to rise. Could it be that someone has offended Senior? From the looks of it, it must be so. If that's the case, let's kill the 30,000 people down there first. With that thought in mind, Yao Jiutian released his aura. A terrifying pressure poured down like the Milky Way, pouncing on the crowd below. The expressions of everyone on the spectating platform changed drastically when they witnessed this scene, and despair was written all over their faces. Who would have thought that the country king would personally make a move? We're finished. Looks like his soul has been destroyed. Spare me, spare me. Senior Li Fire, we know our mistake. Cries of despair resounded throughout the arena. It looked like the terrifying pressure was about to tear everyone into pieces. At this moment, did I allow you to attack? This voice was like a clap of thunder in Yao Jiutian's ears. Instantly, his body froze and he stopped attacking. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead as he hurriedly cupped his fists and bowed. Senior Li Hua, I know I was wrong. Sun Hao snorted coldly. His figure flashed, and instantly appeared in front of Yao Juqian. Raising his hand, he aimed a slap at Yao Juqian. Seeing this slap, Yao Juqian's expression changed slightly, but he was incomparably pleased with himself. You want to hurt me just by relying on your physical body? It seems that he is really a fake, demonic ancestor, Li Hua. Yao Juqian thought secretly, waiting for Sun Hao's slap to come. Pa! A crisp sound resounded throughout the world. A terrifying force enveloped Yao Juqian's body. His body flew out like a kite with a broken string. After rolling countless laps in the sky, he stabilized his figure. After standing up, the left side of his face quickly became red and swollen. A huge pain surged from his face, making Yao Juqian grimace in pain. Yao Juqian rubbed his left face and looked at Sun Hao as if looking at a monster. Such a terrifying physical body. Who in the world could have it? Could it be that demonic ancestor Li Hua obtained a primordial holy treasure and tempered his physical body to an indescribable realm? Absolutely so. He was careless. He shouldn't have tested like this. After some thought, Yao Juqian flew back quickly and stood respectfully in front of Sun Hao. Senior, I'm sorry. He was respectful and didn't dare to be disrespectful. As for the others, they were even more respectful. From beginning to end, he had been bowing his body and didn't dare to get up. There will be no next time. Sun Hao's voice was cold. Yes, yes, Senior. Yao Juqian nodded repeatedly. Senior, please. Yao Juqian made a gesture of invitation. A transparent ripple appeared in front of Sun Hao. Without any hesitation, Sun Hao took a step forward and stepped into it. The scenery changed. Sun Hao came to a large hall. Around the hall, there were screens. On the screens, there were people competing in each arena. Boom! The loud sound of the battle kept coming from the screen. Sun Hao sat down directly and glanced at these screens. Senior, do you want to watch the battle? Yao Juqian asked tentatively. And go down? Sun Hao waved his hand, showing an impatient look. Seeing this scene, Yao Juqian and the others' faces changed drastically and hurriedly retreated. Leaving the arena, Yao Juqian breathed a long sigh of relief. I didn't expect that demonic ancestor Li Hua was really born. Yao Juqian muttered to himself. Father, what should we do? With him here, everything is unknown in this battle of Daozi. A graceful woman stood up and asked respectfully. This woman was none other than the #1 genius of the ethereal empire and also the current princess, Yao Zishuan. This is not the place to talk. Let's go. Yao Juqian waved his right hand, causing ripples. He led everyone into the ripples and disappeared in place. When they appeared again, they had already come to a secret room. This secret room was covered with layers of restrictions and formations. Yao Juqian's right hand kept waving, and an ancient great formation was quickly arranged, covering the entire secret room. Father, it's not necessary. Demonic ancestor Li Hua is powerful, but it's impossible for his divine sense to penetrate so many layers of formations, right? Yao Zishuan said, Be careful. We must not fail in this battle of Daozi. Otherwise, our ethereal demon empire will be in danger. Yao Juqian said solemnly. Yes, Father. By the way, why are you not worried about demonic ancestor Li Hua? Yao Zishuan asked. Worried? No. Yao Juqian shook his finger, showing a confident look. Since Li Hua came to participate in the grand competition, he must also want to enter the battlefield. If I'm not wrong, he must have reached a bottleneck and wants to go to the heavenly realm to find an opportunity to break through. However, even if it's demonic ancestor Li Hua, he must not have thought that this battlefield is... Yao Juqian said one sentence at a time, and Yao Zishuan nodded repeatedly. Brilliant, really brilliant. Father, you're really amazing. Chapter 585. After Yao Juqian left, Sun Hao sat in place and let out a long sigh of relief. He looked at the screens in front of him without moving his eyes. Suddenly, Sun Hao raised his eyebrows and looked at one of the screens, his eyes shining brightly. They saw, on the screen, a man wielding a metal cudgel was striking left and right, sending the people on the stage flying one by one. No spells or secret techniques could stop this man's staff. The entire arena was filled with cheers and applause. Sun Hao didn't know this man, but he was familiar with the stick in his hand. This was the iron rod that he had forged in the past, and he had given it to Sun Wukong. Who would have thought that the metal rod would actually have an artifact spirit that could grow on its own? Its current strength was no weaker than an ordinary sage artifact. Sun Wukong. Sun Hao looked at the man, revealing a faint smile. I didn't expect to see Sun Wukong here. I wonder where Ningmingji is? Have they found their demonic powers? With a series of questions, Sun Hao continued to stare at Goku. As expected, Sun Wukong won first place and became the only one standing on the stage. Sun Hao continued to stare at the screen and did not find any familiar people. Time flew, and half a day passed in the blink of an eye. The 100,000 fighting arenas had all completed their battles. Senior, Yao Jiuqian's voice came from outside the hall. Come in, Sun Hao said lightly. Creak. The door opened. Yao Jiuqian walked in and stood respectfully in front of Sun Hao. Senior Li Hua, we are about to head to the battlefield. Are you prepared to go? Yao Jiuqian asked. Of course, Sun Hao said lightly. Please. Yao Jiuqian waved his right hand, and a portal appeared in front of Sun Hao. Sun Hao took a step forward, stepped into the portal, and instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the sky. In front of him stood 100,000 victors. Seeing Sun Hao come out, everyone was excited. Admiration was written all over his face. Paying respects to Senior Li Hua. Their voices resounded throughout the world. His impassioned aura made one's blood boil. Rise! Sun Hao looked at everyone and said faintly, Thank you, Senior Li Hua. Everyone stood up and lowered their heads slightly to show their respect. Demonic Ancestor Li Hua is only at the Monster King realm? Did I sense wrongly? It can't be. He can send the monarch flying with a slap with just his physical body? Is this true? The Li Fire demonic ancestor's cultivation level dropped. Everyone murmured to themselves in bewilderment. However, they didn't dare to show it on their faces, and they all wore respectful expressions. Even Sun Wukong had a respectful look on his face. Sun Hao glanced at Goku from the corner of his eyes. Then he sat on the main seat without saying a word. Buzz, suddenly the sky shook. One figure after another walked out of the ripples. The person in the lead was dressed in clothes whiter than snow. Her skin was smooth and creamy, and she looked extremely beautiful. Phew! Strands of ice threads circled around the woman. The entire world seemed to have become ice cold. Her appearance immediately caused a series of exclamations. Blue Moon Kingdom's princess, Qin Luoyue, is personally leading the team. Am I seeing things? Rumor has it that Princess Luo Yu has become a demon saint. Is this true? Wow, so beautiful. There's actually such a beautiful person in this world. She's as beautiful as a holy spirit. I don't dare to look straight at her. Everyone muttered to themselves and stared blankly at Qin Luoyue and the others, unable to come back to their senses for a moment. Sun Hao glanced at Qin Luoyue and was also secretly surprised. This person's appearance was extremely beautiful, and there was no flaw to pick out. Compared with Huang Rumeng, there was no winner or loser. In other words, the two were a different kind of beauty. Qin Luoyue didn't seem to hear the crowd's exclamations. She turned around and glanced at Sun Hao, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. He's the demonic ancestor Li Hua? Why is he only in the Demon King realm? Qin Luoyue muttered to herself, puzzled. But there was no expression on her face. She walked towards Sun Hao step by step with a myriad of amorous postures. The smile on the corner of her mouth was like a spring breeze, and it was particularly comfortable to see. Whether he is the demonic ancestor Li Hua or not, since the king told me, I can't offend him. Qin Luoyue thought secretly, walked in front of Sun Hao, and bowed to salute. Luoyue greets Senior Li Hua. Qin Luoyue said. You are? Sun Hao looked puzzled. Senior, my name is Qin Luoyue, the princess of Blue Moon Kingdom, and a leader of the Blue Moon Kingdom this time. In the next battle, I still need to rely on Senior to take care of me. Qin Luoyue was not in a hurry, Her voice was sweet, and it was particularly comfortable to hear. Well said, well said. Sun Hao nodded slightly. Senior, then I'll leave first. Qin Luoyue took the crowd and retreated to the side. Yao Zhuqian stepped forward and led the leaders of the small countries to Sun Hao, introducing them one by one. Among these people, the weakest had reached the God-Emperor realm. The strong ones had reached the Saint realm. Among this group of people, there were dozens of people who had reached the Saint realm, which made Sun Hao secretly shocked. When were there so many saints, and they were all concentrated in this demon ancestral realm? Why was this? It seemed that there were not many saints in the heaven realm. Could this be related to the heavenly Tao? What kind of existence is the heavenly Tao? Sun Hao thought secretly, and every time he saw a person, he nodded slightly. After introducing everyone, Yao Zhuqian walked in front of Sun Hao and bowed respectfully. Senior, what about me? Yao Zhuqian lowered his head, showing a questioning look. Go. Sun Hao nodded slightly. With Sun Hao's permission, Yao Zhuqian walked in front of everyone and spoke. Everyone is the elite of my ethereal demon kingdom. The once-in-10,000 years war is about to begin. This matter is related to the rise and fall of my ethereal demon kingdom, and at the same time, it is also related to everyone's future. As we all know, if you want to become a demon saint, you must participate in the war to have a chance. You can even enter the heaven realm and reach a higher level. On the road of cultivation, if you don't advance, you will fall back. Only by moving forward can you break free from the shackles of this world and travel to a broader space. Yao Zhuqian said one sentence at a time. Each sentence was full of chicken blood, making people excited. The color of expectation was written on everyone's face. Okay, that's all for now. Next, I'll talk about the precautions for this departure. Because there are too many people competing this time, the teleportation array can't send everyone over. So, we can only take the flying boat. Every 1,000 people take a flying boat. All flying boats must listen to my orders, because we need to pass through a dangerous place, Crown Nether Valley. As soon as these words came out, everyone's faces changed drastically, and fear was written all over their faces. What? We have to pass through Crown Nether Valley? It's too dangerous there. No way. Legend has it that there are demon saint-level monsters below. How can a small flying boat resist it? What are you afraid of? With the king leading the team and demon ancestor Li Hua in charge, everything is not a problem. Chapter 586. Thousands of ships sailed across the sky like rainbows. The vast scene could not be described with words. Qin Luoyue sat in the driver's seat of one of the flying ships, calmly looking at the scenery that was rushing past in front of her. A middle-aged man sat next to her with confusion written all over his face. Luoyue, is a demon king worthy of your respect? The middle-aged man couldn't help but ask. Qin Luoyue smiled faintly, full of charm. Uncle, that's just on the surface. Really? The middle-aged man was startled, and his eyes bloomed with a strange light. You also think he's not the Leaf Fire demonic ancestor? The Leaf Fire demonic ancestor? Him? Is he worthy? Qin Luoyue snorted coldly with a disdainful expression. The real Leaf Fire demonic ancestor has world-destroying flames in his body. He can burn the universe with his will, and he doesn't have that kind of flame aura in his body. Qin Luoyue said. So, he's not the Leaf Fire demonic ancestor? With the king's ability, you should be able to find out. Why does he still respect him so much? I think the king's respect seems to come from his bones. The middle-aged man asked with a face full of confusion. That's all done to dispel the little guy's doubts. If I'm not wrong, he's a sacrifice. The middle-aged man's eyes widened with disbelief and surprise. After a long time, the middle-aged man calmed down. I heard that he used his physical body to slap the king away. Is that true? If that's the case, what will happen if he finds out about these things? The middle-aged man's face showed a trace of fear. Uncle, we don't have to worry about these things. The king is cunning. I think everything is under his control. We just need to do our own things, Qin Luoyue said. Luoyue, you're right. The middle-aged man nodded. I hope he can go further this time. Uncle, how can you say that? This trip is for you to break through to the demonic saint realm. Qin Luoyue said. Luoyue, thank you. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with tears. We're all family. You're welcome. Qin Luoyue turned her head, and her expression changed slightly. A bloody light flashed in her eyes. On a flying ship not far from Blue Moon Kingdom, a man stood on the deck of the flying ship, looking into the distance. This person was none other than Sun Wukong. Master, don't worry. I will find you. You must be the same as me, wanted to participate in the alien battle, right? Let's meet on the battlefield. Sun Wukong muttered to himself with a determined expression. Suddenly, Goku's expression changed slightly. Looking at the endless blood-red airflow in front of him, he could not help but raise his eyebrows. Many people standing on the deck had the same expression as him. That's underworld crown energy. Heavens, it's so thick. It's completely enveloping the entire world. It's impossible to pass through. If I remember correctly, there is still 1,000 kilometers before we reach the underworld crown ocean. How do we get here so early? Underworld crown energy can't be moved by the wind. How can it spread? Cries of surprise could be heard continuously. Everyone had a solemn expression on their faces. Even Yao Jiutian was standing in the sky at this moment. Looking at the wall-like underworld crown aura before him, he knitted his brows tightly. As the space shook, a beautiful figure appeared beside Yao Jiutian. This person was Yao Jiutian's daughter, Yao Zishuan. Father, there's no way to pass through such thick underworld crown aura, Yao Zishuan said. And I just don't know how big this underworld crown aura covers. Yao Jiutian frowned slightly. The underworld crown ocean is 100,000 miles. If it's spread from the underworld crown ocean, I'm afraid it's even bigger. It's too late to take a detour. Yao Zishuan said. What you said makes sense. We must think of a way. Yao Jiutian said. Both of them revealed a look of deep thought. Suddenly, look, an exclamation broke the silence. Following the voice and looking over, everyone's expression changed drastically as they secretly cursed. Only to see, behind the flying boats, strands of blood-red underworld crown aura rushed over. In the blink of an eye, it wrapped thousands of flying boats, forming a ball-shaped space. This space was shrinking rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing this scene, everyone's face turned pale. Their bodies trembled uncontrollably. It's over. It's over. The underworld crown aura wrapped us up. What to do? Are we all going to be buried here? How can this be? Why does this underworld crown aura have consciousness? Voices of despair resounded throughout the entire field. Father, what to do? Yao Zishuan also had no idea at this moment and asked, Let me try first. Yao Jiutian strode forward and stepped in front of the underworld crown aura. He stretched out his palm and aimed ahead. It was a slap. Buzz, a huge transparent palm condensed and formed. The pressure of the sage realm spread all around from the transparent palm, blasting until the surrounding space was distorted. When this scene appeared, the people who were originally in despair were all pulled back to reality. Everyone's eyes were all staring at that transparent palm. As expected of the monarch, this horrifying pressure actually tore the space apart. It's too scary. Amazing. With the monarch here, this underworld crown aura is nothing. This slap will definitely disperse the underworld crown aura, right? All hopes were pinned on the transparent palm, released by Yao Jiutian. Buzz, the transparent palm became bigger and bigger. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped heaven and earth. Boom! A loud sound was deafening. A dazzling white light enveloped the entire scene. Everyone closed their eyes and covered their ears, not daring to look at him. It was a long time. Only then did they gradually open their eyes. Seeing the scene before him, he could not help but widen his eyes in disbelief. How is this possible? It can't be right. Such a terrifying palm was actually unable to disperse the underworld crown energy. In that case, the nether crown energy has become even stronger. What should we do? It's over. It's over, we're completely done for. Everyone muttered to themselves as they stared at the approaching nether crown energy with despair written all over their faces. Yao Jiuqian looked at the underworld crown Qi with a solemn expression. Reining in his emotions, he swept his gaze across the crowd. Everyone, pay attention. Those with strength above the demon saint realm, come to my side immediately and deal with this nether crown energy together. Hurry up, don't just stand there. If we're late, we won't be able to make it. Yao Jiutian's voice was like thunder blasting into everyone's ears. Immediately after, several figures appeared in front of Yao Jiutian after stepping through the air. There were more than 100 of them, and each of them had reached the martial sage level. Monarch, please instruct. Monarch, please arrange it. At this moment, everyone gathered together. Chapter 587. Listen to my command. Extract your own monster power and gather it towards me, quickly. Yao Jiutian's voice was like thunder, clearly reaching everyone's ears. Yes, the orderly voice broke the world. A group of beast saints moved together, frantically extracting their own power. The demonic powers of different colors formed into 5-colored threads that surged toward Yao Jiutian at a rapid speed. Yao Jiutian revealed a dignified look, his hands formed a seal, and his mouth muttered. These monster power quickly drilled into Yao Jiutian's body. Kacha! A burst of joint-cracking sounds resounded through the world. Yao Jiutian's clothes burst apart. His whole body rapidly grew taller, quickly becoming stronger. In the blink of an eye, he changed into a giant with a height of 100,000 meters. On his body, there was a tin-colored light, so bright that people could not open their eyes. The surging aura, like a shock wave, spread around. It looked like Yao Jiutian was like a tin-colored giant standing proudly in the sky. Howl! Yao Jiutian looked up to the sky and roared, piercing through the 9 heavens. The terrifying power blasted towards the underworld crown Qi above his head. Boom! Boom! The loud noise continued. The sky seemed to be about to collapse. The terrifying power, in everyone's eyes, could not help but feel a tingling in their scalp. On a flying boat, Sun Wukong looked at Yao Jiutian, frowning, his face solemn. This power, even if I, old Sun, encounter it, I will definitely be crushed and my soul will dissipate. If you can find my monster power, then there is no need to fear. However, this terrifying power actually can't disperse the underworld crown Qi. What is this underworld crown Qi made of? How can it have such power? Sun Wukong muttered to himself, his eyes fixed on Yao Jiutian. At this moment, Yao Jiutian also stood in place. He looked at the rapidly shrinking underworld crown Qi, his brows furrowed. The power of everyone gathered, but still could not break the underworld crown Qi. Is there no other way? Is my life going to end here? If I knew earlier, I would have spent some Saint Essence crystals to open the teleportation array. Yao Jiutian thought to himself, and a hint of regret flashed across his face. In the underworld crown Qi, any space secret technique was useless. Once contaminated by the underworld crown Qi, there was only one possibility, being devoured. Do I have to use that move? Yao Jiutian frowned and looked like he was in deep thought. That move was his trump card. Until now, no one knew about it. Even if they knew, they were no longer in this world. There's no other way. Come, Yao Jiutian muttered to himself as a ruthless expression appeared on his face. He stretched out a finger and blasted it towards the underworld crown energy. The moment he pointed his finger, the sky instantly lost its color. All the light dissipated at this moment, and everyone could only see a giant finger shining in the sky. This finger glowed faintly, but it exuded an irresistible might. This is the sky-crushing sage finger. What? The legendary lost number 1 secret technique of the demon race. Heaven-breaking sage finger? Oh my god. To think that the country king had hidden such a move. This is too amazing. The sky-crushing sacred finger can unleash tens of times more power. We're saved now. Great. The light of expectation flashed in everyone's eyes. All hope was concentrated on the finger that Yao Jiutian had released. Phew! The sky-crushing sage finger quickly blasted forward. The finger cut through the sky, emitting light, like a comet streaking across. Crack! Cracks appeared on the underworld crown energy as it rapidly broke apart. Under the bombardment of the sky-crushing sage finger, the underworld crown energy quickly retreated. Buzz! A roar shook heaven and earth. In the underworld crown energy, an incomparably huge passage appeared in front of everyone. At first glance, it looked like a passage leading to the outside world. It's broken. We have hope. As expected of the country king. Who can compare with this method? I can't. My knees are about to fall. The light of worship swept over Yao Jiutian. The Blue Moon Kingdom's princess, Qin Luoyue, looked at Yao Jiutian with an uncertain expression. I didn't expect that the country king had hidden such a method. This is a little interesting. Qin Luoyue thought to herself, and the corner of her mouth raised into a faint smile. A blood-red light flashed in her eyes. On the other side, Yao Zishuan looked at Yao Jiutian, and the light of worship kept shining. Father, I didn't expect you to have practiced the sky-crushing sage finger to the small realm. If this goes on, in less than 100,000 years, you will be able to practice it to the great realm. At that time, who can be your opponent? Yao Zishuan kept nodding, her face full of joy. Yao Jiutian didn't care about this. He turned around and looked at everyone with a solemn expression. Everyone, pay attention. Immediately go through the passage and escape from here. This sentence woke everyone up from their stupor. At this moment, they just realized that they were in danger. Tap, tap, the sound of hurried footsteps rang out. Everyone quickly ran into the flying boat. However, before they ran a few steps, they stood in place and stared behind Yao Jiutian with incredulous eyes. Everyone's body trembled uncontrollably. Yao Jiutian looked at this scene, and his face was full of doubt. A sense of uneasiness was written on his face. Turning around, his pupils constricted and his expression changed drastically, only to see, in front of him, a large hand formed by the underworld crown energy covered the sky and slapped down at Yao Jiutian. Yao Jiutian's 100,000 body was like an ant in front of this large hand. The passage that he blasted out earlier had long disappeared. How could this be? Damn it, fight! Yao Jiutian roared in a low voice, muttered some words, extended his finger, and blasted at the giant hand in the sky. Wong! Heaven and earth trembled. The sun and moon changed color. Two terrifying powers intertwined in an instant. Immediately, boom! A loud sound shook the mountains and rivers, and the water vapor evaporated. The entire space was shattering into pieces. Yao Jiutian's body was like a kite with a broken string, flying out and slamming into the ground. It took a lot of time before he struggled to get up. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out of Yao Jiutian's mouth. He raised his head and looked at the blood-red hand that covered the sky, revealing a solemn expression. Who the hell are you? Yao Jiutian asked. A sneer resounded through the entire world and clearly entered everyone's ears. You are not qualified to know my name. The voice was not loud, but it was full of momentum. When this voice reached everyone's ears, their faces turned pale. All of you, stay here for this seat. After this voice, the large hand that covered the sky directly pressed down. The terrifying power made everyone's expression change greatly. It's over. This time it's really over. What kind of existence is it? Why do you want to destroy us? I'm not willing. At this moment, the voice of despair resounded throughout the world. In front of such a powerhouse, any struggle was futile. Chapter 588. Yao Jiutian roared, and a gray-white fire ignited all over his body. His aura expanded rapidly. The world trembled violently, and the sound of explosions continued. The terrifying power quickly rushed to his hands, and two gray-white palms quickly condensed into shape. These two palms joined together and blasted toward the big hand in the sky. Boom! There was a loud noise. A shock wave surged in all directions in a ball shape. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the whole world. Boom! Yao Jiutian's huge body flew backward uncontrollably and slammed into the ground. He struggled for a long time and couldn't stand up. Blood flowed from his body, dyeing his whole body red. He looked back at the void, his face full of unwillingness. The king burned his chi and blood and couldn't stop it. It seems that we are completely finished. Who will save us? This nether-crowned chi turned out to be such a monster. The voice of despair resounded throughout the world. The blood-red big hand pressed down more and more, and the pressure came. Everyone was trapped in a quagmire and couldn't move at all. They could only wait for death to come, and they couldn't do anything. Who? The sky was getting darker and darker. The big hand covered the entire sun, and it was impossible to see the surroundings clearly. It seemed that the big hand covering the sky was about to slap everyone into powder. However, the big hand covering the sky suddenly stopped in the sky and did not fall. There was a sound. All the nether-crowned chi surged rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a blood-red giant. The giant's height couldn't be seen at all. It was like a planet standing in front of everyone. Not dead. What happened? My God, this such a big giant. It's terrifying. Why did he stop? What's going on? Everyone muttered to themselves, puzzled. In their eyes, the blood-colored giant shrank rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon after, it changed to the size of a normal person. Plop! A sound of kneeling resounded through the world. Following the direction of the blood-colored giant's kneeling, everyone saw that the direction he was kneeling was where Sun Hao was. They saw. Sun Hao was standing there calmly, staring at the blood-colored giant. This stare directly frightened the blood-colored giant, and his face changed drastically. Say, Senior, I know my mistake. I really didn't know you were here. Please forgive me. His voice was sincere, and his words were straightforward. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief when they heard this. What? How? How could such a terrifying grand cultivator address demonic forefatherly Hua as senior? Did I hear that right? This terrifying almighty being is at least a holy spirit, right? Is he afraid of the leaf fire, demonic forefather? Dream, I must be dreaming. Voices of disbelief resounded throughout the world. Yao Jiuqian changed to the size of a normal person and looked back at Sun Hao with an uncertain expression on his face. Qin Luiwei looked at Sun Hao, and a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. In her beautiful eyes, the light flowed and the corners of her mouth raised. No one knew what she was thinking. Is he really the leaf fire demonic ancestor? Yao Zixuan looked at Sun Hao and muttered to herself. At this moment, Sun Hao became the focus of everyone's eyes. Sun Hao's face was calm, but his heart was actually panicking. This crimson giant was at least a holy spirit. Killing him would be a piece of cake. However, why did he have to be so afraid of her? Do you really not know? Or are you pretending? As soon as this sound came out, the crimson giant's body trembled, and panic was written all over his face. Say, Senior, I really don't know. If I knew you were here, I wouldn't dare, even if I had 10,000 guts. The crimson giant quickly kowtowed. Forget it this time. There won't be a next time. Sun Hao's voice was cold, as if he would start a massacre if it was not good. Yes, Senior, don't worry. I will leave immediately. After speaking, the crimson giant turned around, turned into a bloody cloud, and disappeared into the sky. Seeing this scene, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. On their faces, there was a joy of surviving a disaster. Too terrifying. I didn't expect there to be a holy spirit in this world. Yeah, it's really scary. Was the realm of demonic forefatherly Hua? Just one sentence, and the Holy Spirit was scared to death? It's far beyond our imagination. It's absolutely unfathomable. If it weren't for demonic forefatherly Hua today, we would have been turned into ashes. Yeah, thanks to demonic forefatherly Hua. Everyone looked at Sun Hao, and their gratitude was overflowing. Sun Hao didn't care about these gazes. He looked at the disappearing blood cloud in the sky and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Why would such a strong person be afraid of me? It doesn't make sense at all. With his strength, it should be a matter of one finger to destroy me. Could it be that he couldn't see through my realm, so he used a delaying tactic and then came back to test me? Thinking of this, a wave of uneasiness surged through his body. This thought just came up. The sky shook, and a group of blood clouds rushed over and stood in the sky. The surging aura sprinkled down from the sky, enveloping everyone. The crowd, who had just shown joy, once again sank into hell and fell into endless despair. What's going on? He's back again? Could be just a test just now. Look, it seems so. He must have been unable to see through the realm of demonic forefather Lihua, so he left first. He didn't see demonic forefather Lihua chasing after him, and now he's back again. The sound of trembling resounded all around. Everyone's eyes were staring at the blood red, and their faces were full of horror. The blood cloud fell rapidly and turned into a blood-red giant standing in the sky. He stretched out two huge hands, shaking the sky and making it hum and tremble. He aimed at the crowd and blasted down. The terrifying power made everyone's face change dramatically. It's over. Even Sun Hao could only think of these two words at this moment. Sun Hao stood there, calmly looking at the blood-red giant, motionless. His heart seemed to jump out of his throat, extremely uncomfortable. As the world trembled, the two giant hands stopped in midair, saluting Sun Hao with cupped fists. "Senior, this little one came back again because someone asked me to tell you something," the blood-red giant said. Hearing this, Sun Hao secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "What's the matter?" Sun Hao asked. "Oh." A divine sense voice transmission flew into Sun Hao's ear quickly. "Senior, someone asked me to tell you that there is something you left behind in the battlefield of the strange battle. You must go and get it." Hearing these two sentences, Sun Hao frowned slightly. He also released the divine sense voice transmission. "Who?" Sun Hao asked. "Senior, you can't say it, or the heavenly law will know everything. You just need to get that thing, and you'll understand a lot of things. Senior, this little one will leave first." After speaking, the blood-red giant once again turned into a blood mist and disappeared into the sky. Chapter 589. Who told him to tell me? Dao Qingyang. Sun Hao muttered to himself, thinking secretly. The closer he got to the truth, the more confused he became. Many of his thoughts were completely different from the truth. No matter what, he had to go to the alien battlefield. "Gone? You scare me to death. I thought they were here to kill us. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and thank the demonic ancestor Lihua." This sound woke everyone up at the start. Everyone calmed down and stared at Sun Hao. Then, all of them cupped their fists and bowed. "Thank you for saving my life, demonic ancestor Lihua." The sound of gratitude shook the world. Everyone's faces were brimming with gratitude. "There's no need to be so polite. I didn't do anything." After Sun Hao glanced at Goku, he waved his sleeves lightly and disappeared silently. The demonic ancestor Lihua is indeed a mighty figure. His breadth of mind can accept anything. With the help of the demonic ancestor Lihua, it won't be a problem for us to reach the heaven realm. Yes, everyone looked at the direction in which Sun Hao disappeared, and the light of worship lingered for a long time. Yao Jiuqian collected his thoughts and looked at everyone. He said, "Everyone, pay attention. Let's go." Everyone quickly ran back to the flying boat. Qianzhou turned into a rainbow and disappeared into the distance. In the room of a flying boat, Sun Hao sat cross-legged in the middle. With a wave of his right hand, countless formation runes appeared in the surroundings, enveloping the entire room tightly. Now, even if Yao Jiutian's spiritual force swept into his room, he would only see that he was resting with his eyes closed. The power of faith is growing faster and faster. To think that I have accumulated so much power of faith over the past few days. It should be enough for me to make a breakthrough to Saint Realm 5 Dan, right? Sun Hao's mind swept into the soul space. Looking at the endless power of faith, his eyes couldn't help but widen. Phew! With a thought, These power of faith turned into wisps of pale white light, flew out of the soul space, and drilled into Sun Hao's body. Sizzle! The surging power hit Sun Hao's meridians like a tsunami. A wave of pain came from the meridians, and Sun Hao gasped in pain. However, this kind of pain came quickly and went away even faster. Under the power of faith, his meridians rapidly strengthened. Not only that, flesh, tendons, bones, organs under the tempering of the power of faith, it was also rapidly becoming stronger. Sensing these changes, Sun Hao couldn't help but widen his eyes, revealing incredible surprise. He didn't expect the power of faith to be so strong. His physical body could actually be strengthened. Gotcha! In just an instant, the realm membrane that enveloped Sun Hao's body broke apart. At this moment, he had reached the fourth layer Saint Realm. However, the power of faith seemed to be endless, and it continued to surge forward. Sun Hao closed his eyes, opened his mouth wide, and couldn't help but cry out in comfort. At this moment, there was no pain, only endless comfort. Physical body, mental state, soul, realm, under the tempering of this power, they were rapidly growing stronger. Sun Hao was quietly grateful, showing a look of enjoyment with his eyes closed. Not long after, Gotcha! Another sound of the barrier of cultivation breaking rang out. Sun Hao reached the fifth level of the Saint Realm. The remaining power of faith, which still had 90% left, continued to rush in Sun Hao's various meridians. An hour later, Gotcha! A sound rang out. Sun Hao reached the sixth level of the Saint Realm. At this moment, Sun Hao opened his eyes, and a touch of joy was written all over his face. My current physical body has been upgraded by another level. Now, even if it is a supreme sacred weapon, I can catch it with my bare hands. The sixth level of the Saint Realm, not bad. Now, even if it is Yao Jiuqian, I can crush him just by relying on the realm. Sun Hao muttered to himself and took back his mood. With a wave of his right hand, the array arranged around the room flew back and disappeared into the palm of his hand. With his strength greatly increased, Sun Hao was full of confidence. He looked for a room and walked out. Senior. At the door, Yao Jiuqian was standing there, saluting Sun Hao respectfully. Sun Hao was slightly startled, looked at Yao Jiuqian, and said, "What's the matter?" Yao Jiuqian looked around, showing an expression of wanting to speak, but hesitating. "Senior, can I go in and talk?" Yao Jiuqian asked. "Okay." Sun Hao nodded. The two walked back into the house. After the door was closed, Yao Jiuqian laid down layers of restrictions, and after confirming that there was no problem, he knelt down in front of Sun Hao. "Senior, please spare my life." Yao Jiuqian's voice was sincere, and his attitude was respectful. Sun Hao stood there, full of doubts. Is this old guy crazy? Spare my life? Why beg for mercy? You are? Sun Hao asked. Senior, in fact, the battlefield is far from as good as it seems. Yao Jiuqian said. What is in the battlefield? Sun Hao asked. Senior, I can't say, otherwise the heavenly Tao will sense it. At that time, all of our souls will fly away. Yao Jiuqian's face showed a look of fear. Then why are you looking for me? Sun Hao asked. Senior, you must not go to the battlefield. Yao Jiuqian said with a solemn face. Why? Senior, I can't say. Yao Jiuqian showed a bitter expression on his face. Okay, I know. Sun Hao nodded slightly. Senior, then I will leave first. You must remember, never go to the battlefield. Until the door was closed, Yao Jiuqian's warning voice came. Sun Hao returned to the room and sat down. His fingers tapped lightly on the table, revealing a thoughtful look. What is in this battlefield? Why does Yao Jiuqian want me not to go? He clearly knows that the blood-colored giant told me to go. What is his intention? Sun Hao thought secretly, and for a while, he did not have any ideas. Is it because there is something I left in the battlefield, and this Yao Jiuqian wants to obtain my inheritance? I want to see what your intention is. Thinking like this, Sun Hao released his divine sense and enveloped the entire flying boat. Now that his spiritual force had been strengthened, even Yao Jiuqian could not compare to him. releasing divine sense. Yao Jiutian may not be able to sense it. Hey, someone is coming? Sun Hao looked startled and quickly retracted his divine sense. Dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Senior Li Hua, are you inside? The clear voice of a woman rang out. Creak. The door opened. What was printed in front of Sun Hao was Qin Luoyue in a white dress. She twisted her curvaceous body and slowly took 2 steps forward. Facing Sun Hao, she bowed and saluted. Thank you, Senior Li Hua, for saving my life. Qin Luoyue looked grateful. No need to be so polite. I didn't do anything. Sun Hao said faintly. Senior, you are too modest. You can scare away the Holy Spirit with your identity alone, which makes this little girl admire you very much, and uncontrollably came to disturb you. Qin Luoyue said. Miss Luoyue, you didn't come here just to say these polite words to me, did you? Sun Hao said. When these words came out, Qin Luoyue looked startled. Chapter 590. A faint smile appeared on Qin Luoyue's delicate face. Just one look at it would make one feel at ease. Senior, you're right. I do have something to tell you. Would it be convenient for me to come in? Qin Luoyue's attitude was sincere. Every sentence she spoke was neither too fast nor too slow. She was very graceful. Come in. Sun Hao nodded slightly. After the door was closed, Qin Luoyue looked around with a hesitant expression. Just say it. No one can hear you. Sun Hao said. Senior, I'll tell you then. Seeing Sun Hao nod, Qin Luoyue leaned forward 2 steps. Her whole body seemed to crash into Sun Hao's arms. The rabbit was so big that it pressed directly on Sun Hao's chest. Senior, you also know that I am the princess of Blue Moon Kingdom. Only the royal family of my Blue Moon Kingdom knows this secret. Please don't leak this information, will you? Qin Luoyue whispered in Sun Hao's ear, making Sun Hao's ears itch. After saying this, Qin Luoyue took 2 steps back and lowered her head with a flushed face. She looked like a shy young girl, which made people's hearts beat faster. This was the seduction of naked Luo Luo. Sun Hao turned a blind eye to all this. Tell me, I promise I won't leak it out. Sun Hao said. What a fool. Qin Luoyue muttered to herself. Then, a solemn expression appeared on his face. Senior, this information concerns the alien battlefield, Qin Luoyue said. Battlefield? Sun Hao looked puzzled. That's right. Qin Luoyue nodded. My Blue Moon Nation's old ancestor participated in a strange war. He accidentally entered a mountain range and encountered a terrifying surge of energy there. I was almost smashed to pieces. Fortunately, old ancestor was lucky and survived. After he returned, he drew a sketch and recorded the mountain range. Later, the patriarch flipped through countless books and confirmed that the terrifying energy region was actually a land of inheritance, Qin Luoyue said. Sun Hao was slightly startled. Whose inheritance? Qin Luoyue said, Senior, if the ancestor's guess is correct, that inheritance land is likely to be the inheritance left behind by the Tao Ancestor. What? Is it really the inheritance I left behind? This little girl wouldn't lie to him, right? Sun Hao looked at Qin Luoyue and nodded secretly when he saw the clear and flawless light in her eyes. Tao Father, are you sure you're not mistaken? Sun Hao asked. Senior, this is only my guess. I'm not sure if it's true. I can't guarantee anything, Qin Luoyue said. Then why did you tell me this news? Sun Hao asked. Senior. Qin Luoyue lowered her head and revealed an embarrassed expression. Senior, I would like to invite you to the Tao Ancestor's inheritance ground to open the inheritance together. Senior, don't worry. The inheritance inside belongs to you. You just need to reward me with some treasures. What do you think? Qin Luoyue looked at Sun Hao with a look of inquiry. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you now and take the map? Sun Hao asked. Qin Luoyue was taken aback for a moment. Then her expression changed slightly. Senior, if you want to destroy me, you can do it with a flip of your hand. However, the map is engraved on my soul. No matter what you do, the map will be destroyed. It's impossible for you to get to the inheritance ground. Qin Luoyue said. Aren't you afraid that I will get the inheritance and destroy you again? Sun Hao said. Senior, with your mind, You will never do that. Qin Luoyue looked at Sun Hao and flattered him. Sun Hao smiled slightly and did not respond. Senior, then this matter is settled? Qin Luoyue asked. Yes. Sun Hao nodded. Senior, then this little girl will leave first. After speaking, Qin Luoyue retreated. Is there really my inheritance ground? Could it be that Yao Zhouqian also knows that it doesn't let me go because he really wants to seize my inheritance? However, no matter how powerful your means are, you want to seize my inheritance? Thinking about all this, Sun Hao relaxed. The inheritance he left behind, except for himself, it was tantamount to a dream for others to obtain it. Dong dong. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Sun Hao looked startled, walked to the door, and opened the door. Senior. Standing by the door, it was none other than Sun Wukong. When Sun Wukong saw Sun Hao, he knelt down and kowtowed. Come in and talk. When Sun Wukong followed in, Sun Hao waved his right hand and set up layers of restrictions. The scene of Sun Hao setting up restrictions was seen by Sun Wukong, and he couldn't help but widen his eyes, showing a face of worship. Plop! Sun Wukong knelt down again and began to cow. Senior, I have a request. Please help me and save my master. Sun Wukong said. Wukong, get up. Sun Hao's mind moved and changed into his original appearance. Seeing Sun Hao's change, Sun Wukong looked startled, and in his eyes, the light flickered. Young master, you are here? Sun Wukong showed a look of disbelief, and his whole body trembled with excitement. Don't get excited. Sun Hao patted Sun Wukong's shoulder lightly. Tell me, why are you here? Young master, it's all because of our sealed demon power. Sun Wukong said. Your demon power is sealed here? Sun Hao asked. Yes. Sun Wukong nodded. If we didn't guess wrong, old man Tathagata sealed all our demon power in the battlefield. Another alien battlefield? What kind of place is the battlefield? Sun Hao asked. Young master, the battlefield is related to the heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao? Sun Hao thought secretly, with a solemn face. What is the heavenly Tao? It can actually create a battlefield. It seems that its strength is not simple. Can I be the opponent of the heavenly Tao? Young master, yes. However, I'm just guessing, because no one could say anything about the heavenly Tao. If I, old son, am not mistaken, there's a shocking conspiracy in this battlefield. Sun Wukong said. In that case, do you know where Brother Ning and the others are? Sun Hao asked. Young master, I don't know either. They must have been caught by the Fire Phoenix Demon Kingdom and turned into sacrifices. Sun Wukong said. What is a sacrifice? Sun Hao asked. Young master, if you want to open the battlefield, you need incomparable energy. Every time the demon lord of each country opens the battlefield, they will catch some demon beasts with ancient bloodlines as sacrifices. Their demon crystals, souls, bodies will all be sacrificed. When the energy reaches a certain level, the battlefield can be opened. At that time, only those who participate in the battle can go in. Hearing this, Sun Hao clenched his fists, and in his eyes, 2 rays of killing light burst out. Damn it, you can actually sacrifice living people. Don't blame me for starting a massacre. Chapter 591. Demon Ancestral Realm. Entrance to the battlefield. 2 statues stood in the air. Their tops couldn't be seen at all. They looked like 2 giants confronting each other. In each statue's hands, there was a huge transparent crystal ball. Its diameter was enough to cover half of the sky. Under the 2 statues, there was a square stone plaza. One couldn't see the end at all. On this day, buzz, the air shook and rippled, and figures walked out from the ripples. After walking out, they flew directly to the plaza and stood under a red statue. The Misty Demon Kingdom is not here yet. It seems that Yao Lao is reluctant to spend money and came directly by flying boat. It's like this every time. This time, it seems that we will win again. Then there's no need to talk nonsense. Just Yao Lao and the others. Can they be our opponents? That's hard to say. Blue Moon Kingdom is on their side. So what? In front of absolute strength, what is a Blue Moon Kingdom? Suddenly, buzz, there was a tremor. There was a roar in the sky. A terrifying pressure pressed down from the sky. Thousands of figures walked out from the ripples. The leader was wearing a golden robe and a crown. Her outstanding temperament made people not dare to approach. She was the Fire Phoenix Demon Kingdom's monarch, Luo Qianling. Luo Qianling's gaze swept across, her majestic face without any expression. Those who were swept by her gaze lowered their heads, not daring to look at her. "Greetings, monarch!" Everyone knelt down and kowtowed. "Rise," Luo Qianling said faintly. The Empress's domineering aura was vividly displayed. "Thank you, monarch." Everyone got up and stood neatly around. Luo Qianling looked back and said, "How long until the battle begins?" "Monarch, there is still half a day." A minister stood up and said respectfully. Hearing this, Luo Qianling nodded slightly, the corner of her mouth raised into a faint smile. "Yao Jiuqian, you won't be delayed, right? There is still half a day. If you don't arrive, how will you fight with me in the future? Even if you come this time, how will you fight with me? I will definitely fill the entire statue with energy this time." Luo Qianling murmured to herself, her face full of pride. Suddenly, her pupils shrank, her face showing a trace of surprise. "He's here." Just as he finished speaking, phew, thousands of rainbows came from afar. They turned into flying boats and stopped in front of the statue. Phew, one figure after another flew out of the flying boat and landed on the other side of the square. Sun Hao stood quietly in the crowd, and Goku stood next to him. This time, Sun Hao changed his appearance again. Even if Yao Jiuqian saw him, he might not be able to recognize him. Phew, Yao Jiuqian led a group of people and soared into the sky, arriving before Luo Qianling with a solemn expression. "Luo Qianling, I didn't expect you to come so early. Looks like it'll be easy this time," Yao Jiuqian said. "Huh." Luo Qianling faintly smiles. "Yao Jiuqian, it seems like you're well prepared." "Same here." After exchanging pleasantries, the two of them returned to their respective camps and stared at each other coldly. It was as if he wanted to see through the other party. Sun Hao watched the two people fight, his face expressionless. In his heart, there was only killing intent. When the battle starts, if they dare to sacrifice their acquaintances, they will be slaughtered beyond redemption. Time passed little by little. Unknowingly, half a day has passed. Buzz, there was a vibration above their heads. The two huge statues seemed to be alive, opening their eyes at the same time. Two pairs of eyes, one blue and one red, seemed to be able to illuminate the whole world. Whoosh! Red and blue light spurted out from the eyes of the huge statue, gathered together and quickly intertwined. Buzz, the space was distorted at an extreme speed, and the terrifying power poured down like the Milky Way, enveloping the entire square. At this moment, everyone seemed to be trapped in a quagmire, unable to move at all. Even their chests seemed to be crushed, and it was difficult to breathe. Except for Sun Hao, everyone closed their eyes, covered their ears, and showed a painful expression. Sun Hao narrowed his eyes, looking at the rapidly entwining light in the sky, and the corner of his mouth raised a cold smile. Buzz, the trembling sound was getting louder and louder. The red and blue light intertwined at an extreme speed and soon condensed into a white giant. The giant was 10,000 meters high, floating in the sky like a heavenly pillar. It gave everyone an inexplicable sense of oppression in their hearts. Oh! As soon as the coercion was withdrawn, everyone recovered. They looked up at the sky, and their faces were full of fear. Too terrifying. Is this the clone of the Son of Heaven? Not only has he reached the 9th stage of the Demon Saint realm, he only needs a thought to smash us into pieces. Yes, the arrival of the Son of Heaven makes me feel inexplicably oppressed. Everyone muttered to themselves, and everyone stared at the white giant with a respectful face. The white giant glanced at the world and finally fell on everyone. He looked down at the mortals like a god, looking coldly at everyone. The once in 10,000 years battle is about to begin. As the Son of Heaven, I am here to preside over this battle. The party who wins will get the blessing of this seat's 10,000 years of luck, and at the same time, 3 saints can be promoted. As soon as these words came out, it was like a stone stirring up 1,000 ripples. The people who were afraid to speak suddenly burst like water into a pot of oil. What? If it can promote 3 saints, doesn't that mean I also have a chance? Wasn't there only one before? How come there are 3 this time? My luck is so good. I must work hard and strive to become one of them. Everyone's face showed a look of excitement. The temptation of the sage realm could make them lose their minds. After a long time, the whole scene gradually quieted down. When the whole scene was quiet, the white giant continued to speak. Are the offerings ready? The white giant stared at Luo Qianling and Yao Jiuqian and asked. Ready. The 2 nodded at the same time, secretly competing. Since you are ready, then get ready to charge the ancient sage body. How much you can charge will be how much you will get when you enter the battlefield. Let's begin. The white giant said. Yes. The 2 cupped their fists and bowed. Phew. They flew back to their own camps. The 2 of them turned into 2 streams of light and flew to the top of the statue. Not long after, the 2 stood at an altitude of 10,000 meters, clouds surging under their feet. Above the clouds, 2 huge heads, like 2 ferocious beasts, made people dare not look at them. Phew! Yao Jiuqian let out a long sigh and calmed down. Then, he waved his right hand. Buzz! In front of him, there were layers of ripples. One after another, huge beasts were summoned from the ripples, quietly floating in front of him. Chapter 592. Roar! A roar shook the 9 heavens. Layers of ripples shook in the sky, and the entire space was recovering in the rupture and shattering in the recovery. The terrifying power made people scalp numb. Everyone squinted their eyes and looked at the sky. Their pupils shrank, and their faces showed great shock. They saw a giant elephant with a height of 10,000 meters standing in the sky, struggling wildly. The giant elephant's whole body emitted dazzling golden light. The giant elephant's limbs were penetrated by 4 huge iron chains. While every time it struggled, a harsh friction sound broke out. When it reached the ears, the hair all over the body stood up, and it was extremely uncomfortable. However, no matter how the giant elephant struggled, it was useless. Everyone looked at this scene, and all of them showed a look of surprise. What? Divine elephant? This is the divine elephant bloodline that disappeared for millions of years, and now it can still be seen. This terrifying momentum is really scary. The king is powerful. You can actually capture the ancient divine elephant. On the Misty Demon Kingdom's side, everyone exclaimed. On the Fire Phoenix Demon Kingdom's side, everyone shook their heads and sighed, focusing their eyes on Luo Qianling, quietly waiting for her to make a move. The white giant looked at the huge divine elephant and nodded calmly. Luo Qianling glanced at Yao Jiuqian, who had a smug face, and the corners of her mouth rose slightly, a touch of pride written all over her face. Luo Qianling waved her right hand, and a light fell from the sky. Immediately afterward, a 20,000 meters tall Zhu Ganglai appeared in front of everyone. Zhu Ganglia's hair was like a hard diamond barb, emitting a dazzling cold light. However, compared with the divine elephant, it was not much better. A golden thread as thin as a thumb ran through its whole body, tying it up like a dumpling. No matter how it struggled, it was useless. Roar! Zhu Ganglai could only make bursts of sorrow, and he couldn't even spit out a word of human language. Such a scene strongly stimulated everyone's eyes. Everyone looked at Zhu Ganglai with a shocked expression. Damn it! Goku secretly cursed, and when he was about to lift his stick, he was pressed behind by a big hand. It was Sun Hao who made a move. Don't worry, Sun Hao said. Sun Hao's words calmed Goku down. Yes, young master. Goku nodded. Around the 2 of them, there were sounds of discussion. This is Zhu Ganglai, an ancient peerless demon. I didn't expect that we would actually be able to see him. This Fire Phoenix monarch is truly impressive. To be able to capture such a great demon, truly impressive. What should we do? Such a great demon is equivalent to several divine elephants. On the other side, it was a completely different scene. Ha! The king actually captured Zhu Ganglai. This time, we will definitely win. That's for sure. The monarch's martial arts are unparalleled. Who can compare to him? The monarch is mighty. Our admiration is like a surging river, rolling endlessly. The sound of flattery continued to ring out. When Luo Qianling heard this, a smug smile unconsciously appeared on her face. When the white giant saw Zhu Ganglai, a hint of joy flashed through his eyes. Yao Zhouqian looked at Zhu Ganglai and was slightly startled, but he quickly recovered. The corners of his mouth curled up. With a wave of his hand, rays of light descended from the sky. Immediately afterward, many divine elephants were scattered in the air above the square. There were at least thousands of them. Such a scene stunned everyone on the spot. Their mouths were wide open, revealing unbelievable surprise. My God, there's so many divine elephants. How can there be so many ancient bloodline demon beasts? It's over, it's over. This time, the Misty Demon Kingdom will win for sure. The exclamations were incessant, and for a while, they couldn't stop at all. Everyone's eyes were staring at the sky. Luo Qianling looked at the sky, opened her small mouth, and looked surprised. Subsequently, the corners of her mouth curled up into a faint smile. Who, with a wave of her right hand, wisps of red light soared into the sky and floated in the void. Chirp! The cries pierced through the sky. Who, crimson flames sprinkled down from the sky, so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. The pressure was like waves vibrating down layer by layer, pressing down on everyone, and they couldn't help but tremble, only to see divine luans filled the sky, covering the firmament. The number was so many that there were tens of thousands. Each divine luan exuded the aura of the ancient divine luan bloodline, making people not dare to approach. Similarly, every divine luan was covered with golden threads of light, enveloping their whole body. They let out bursts of screams, seemingly in extreme pain. However, even with all their strength, they couldn't break free. What kind of monster is this? This pressure is too terrifying. God, this is a divine phoenix. Such a terrifying divine phoenix bloodline. These divine phoenixes are all atavistic. What? Divine phoenix? My God, the sacrifice of the fire phoenix demon kingdom is actually a divine phoenix. This is completely crushing the divine elephant. This time, my fire phoenix demon kingdom will definitely win. Sun Hao looked at the divine wands in the sky and couldn't help but squint his eyes. Senior Yuli, a touch of killing intent flashed in Sun Hao's eyes. He clenched his fists and then slowly loosened them. He looked at Luo Qianling as if looking at a dead person. Young master, do you want to make a move? Sun Wukong asked in a low voice. Don't worry, it's not time yet, Sun Hao said. Sun Wukong nodded slightly, suppressing the anger in his heart. The white giant looked at these divine wands, and finally, his eyes stared directly at Huang Yoli. Infinitely close to the demon saint realm. Not bad, not bad. The white giant nodded with satisfaction and let out a burst of admiration. Luo Qianling listened to these words. Her eyes bloomed with a strange light, and her face was full of pride. Yao, Zhouqian snorted coldly. Luo Qianling, you're well prepared. It seems that you're determined to win this time. Luo Qianling grinned. Yao Zhouqian, same here, you're well prepared this time. However, it seems that you're going to fail this time. Luo Qianling said. Don't be too proud too early. After speaking, Yao Zhouqian waved his right hand. Rays of light flew out from his palm and scattered in all directions. Squeak, a cry, piercing the world. A crimson golden crow filled the surroundings. Each one emitted a crimson light, so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. However, each one was bound and couldn't break free. However, this was not the end, as if it had just begun. Heavenly foxes covering the world. Each heavenly fox has 9 tails, gently shaking, as if the space was about to break. Among the heavenly foxes, Hulaina was among them. Then, there were all kinds of ancient demon beasts covering the entire world. The number was so many that it was impossible to count. When Luo Qianling saw this scene, the corner of her mouth twitched slightly, and she didn't hide her surprise. Then, the corner of her mouth raised. Fortunately, this lord is well prepared. Otherwise, you'll really win this time. Chapter 593. Hee, Luo Qianling, it's your turn now. Yao Jiutian looked at Luo Qianling and said with a smile. That confidence was not concealed. Yao Jiutian looked up at the white giant and saw the surprise on his face. The complacency was even more obvious. Yao Jiutian, isn't it too early to be happy? You win in quantity, but I have to win you in quality. After speaking, Luo Qianling waved her right hand. A ray of golden light rose directly into the sky and fell in the sky, growing bigger and bigger. Immediately afterward, a 10,000-meter-tall Vajra Arhut appeared in front of everyone. The vast power of Vajra rushed out from the Vajra Arhut, illuminating the world. The Vajra Arhut's body was also covered with filaments, directly pinched into the flesh. Little junior brother. Seeing this Vajra Arhut, Sun Wukong couldn't help but exclaim, and his fists clenched. He looked at Sun Hao and then unwillingly released his fists. What? Buddhist disciple. Such a character can even be captured. The king is really powerful. I'm going to worship under the king's skirt. The exclamations continued. The corner of Luo Qianling's mouth raised slightly, and then she waved her right hand again. The sky trembled. Two huge figures covered the sky. A golden dragon was bound in midair. The huge golden dragon circled around like a guardian, protecting a shocking beast. This giant beast had a head like a dragon, a body like a tiger, and a tail like a phoenix. It grinned and roared, shaking the sky. The whole world dimmed in an instant. As soon as these two monster beasts appeared, it immediately caused a burst of exclamation. That's a dragon with the bloodline of the dragon god. My ancestor. Incredible. Unimaginable. Such a terrifying dragon was captured by the king. What kind of existence is the king? It seems to be only at the demon emperor realm, but it can produce the pressure of the demon saint realm. It's too terrifying. It seems to be guarding that monster beast. What kind of monster beast is that? I know. A cry of exclamation attracted everyone's attention. Everyone looked at the man and listened to him in detail. This is the famous heaven-swallowing sacred beast in ancient times. As soon as these words came out, the surroundings became deathly silent. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. That kind of disbelief, that kind of shock, could not be described with words. What? Heaven-devouring sacred beast? Oh my God! Didn't they perish a long time ago? How can I still see them? This is the legendary heaven-devouring sacred beast? Unbelievable. That's too fearsome. That roar earlier should only have the might of a level 5 sage. He's still restricted. If he wasn't restricted, how strong would he be? Unimaginable. Unbelievable. Such a voice resounded throughout the arena. In the end, everyone's gaze landed on Luo Qianling. Just how powerful was Luo Qianling to be able to subdue such a sacred beast? It was unimaginable. Their worshipful gazes swept over Luo Qianling. He couldn't stop for a while. Sun Hao looked at the heaven-swallowing sacred beast, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. This heaven-swallowing sacred beast was none other than Ning Mingji's body. Wasn't his true form Golden Cicada? How did it become a heaven-devouring sacred beast? Or was he the incarnation of the heaven-devouring sacred beast? Young Master. Master's true form is the heaven-swallowing sacred beast, but he is seriously injured now. Unexpectedly, Master has reached the 3rd stage of the Sage Realm, and he must have recovered some of his demon power. With Master's strength, there is no problem for him to fight the 8th stage of the Sage Realm, but he was also restrained. Presumably, that woman is not simple. Goku sent out a divine sense voice transmission, which was clearly transmitted to Sun Hao's ears. Sun Hao listened to this and frowned secretly. In this way, didn't that Luo Qianling's strength was at least the 9th stage of the Sage Realm? There was also the White Giant, whose realm couldn't be seen at all. Could it be a holy spirit? Thinking of this, Sun Hao shuddered. Holy Spirit, right? I can use you to test my current strength. Sun Hao thought secretly. Young master, do you want to make a move? Goku asked. No hurry. That Luo Qianling should still have offerings that haven't been released. When she releases all of them, we will make a move. Sun Hao said. Okay, young master. Goku nodded slightly. The white giant looked at the heaven-swallowing sacred beast with surprise written all over his face. He kept nodding and looked at Luo Qianling with satisfaction. Good job. Is there anything else? Master, there is more. After speaking, Luo Qianling waved her right hand again. Two pink lights flew out of Luo Qianling's hands. Kacha! A burst of joints cracking sounded. Two pink cherry trees up to 100,000 meters tall covered the sky, and at a glance, the top could not be seen at all. When the wind blew, the fragrance of flowers wafted around. With a light sniff, the fragrance hit the nose, making people feel comfortable and comfortable all over. These two cherry trees shook their bodies frantically. However, the golden silk threads wrapped around them, and they couldn't break free at all. This is a world tree, and it's the best cherry spirit world tree. Didn't this kind of peerless world tree perish long ago? I can actually see it at this moment. My God, today's shock is really wave after wave. The king is too great. They're all peerless monsters. Almost all of them are going to be seen today. Exclamations kept ringing. The light of worship swept towards Luo Qianling. Sun Hao looked at Xiao Fun and Xiao Fong in the sky and couldn't help but clench his fists. Damn it! Sun Hao secretly cursed, killing intent brewing in his chest, as if his body was about to explode. Huang Yoli, Hulaina, Xiao Fun, Xiao Fong, Ning Mingji and his disciples, and many great monsters of Demon Ancestral Mountain. At this moment, the people of Demon Ancestral Mountain were almost all present. Yao Jiuqian looked at these great monsters, and for a while, he couldn't calm down at all. So many great monsters. Each of them was peerless, and the energy contained was like the sea, completely inexhaustible. The Fire Phoenix Demon Kingdom could completely crush him. What should he do? Was he going to lose this battle again? Yao Jiuqian's face was full of unwillingness. The white giant looked at these, and his face was full of joy. Not bad, really well done. The white giant looked at Luo Qianling, his face full of praise. Your Excellency is overpraising. Luo Qianling nodded slightly and cupped her fists. Anything else? The white giant asked. Your Excellency, no? Luo Qianling said. The white giant turned to look at Yao Jiuqian and asked, What about you? Yao Jiuqian shook his head unwillingly. Your Excellency, no more. If that's the case, are you all ready? I'm going to start. The white giant said. Your Excellency, ready? The two nodded in unison. Good. The corner of the white giant's mouth raised, his hands waved, and his mouth muttered. Wisps of white light flew out from his hands, directly covering the two huge statues. However, in the next second, the white giant's face changed drastically. Presumptuous. A loud sound broke through the sky and earth. Chapter 594. Attack. A loud shout resounded through heaven and earth. Then, Kacha! The sound of chains breaking rang out. The golden threads binding Ning Mingji and the others all burst open. Everyone regained their freedom at this moment. Chirp! A chirp resounded through heaven and earth. Luo Qianling shook her body and turned into a nine heavens god wand. Saint-level aura surged up from her body and whistled through the nine heavens. Chirp! With a chirp, wisps of golden light came from Luo Qianling. No, it should be more accurate to say it was Yingyu. Wisps of golden light spurted out from Yingyu's mouth, aimed at the white giant, and enveloped it. On the other side, pervert, emptiness is not different from color. Color is not empty. Hamba or Sha Wujing was better. At this moment, he turned into a golden arhut, and the scriptures on his body flew up and enveloped him. These scriptures quickly piled up, and in less than a moment, they formed a huge golden Buddha. Buzz, the golden Buddha, stretched out a big hand that covered the sky, smashed through the space, and pounced straight at the white giant. Eat this old pig's rake. Zhu Beiji transformed into Zhu Ganglai, raised the 9-foot rake, and slammed it down at the white giant. Hu, Ning Mingji transformed into the heaven-swallowing sacred beast, stretched out his bloody mouth, and sucked hard at the white giant. Everyone attacked at once, so that the white giant could not react at all for a while. Presumptuous! The white giant's expression changed, and he burst out with a loud shout. He used his movement technique and was about to escape. Swish! The golden light in Ing Yu's mouth quickly arrived, wrapped the white giant in an instant, and tied it up like a dumpling. Yuan dared to fight against the heavens, courting death. The white giant let out an angry roar. His whole body glowed with white light, struggling wildly. Kacha, the golden light was constantly squeezing, and it looked like it was about to break. At this time, boom! A 100,000-meter-long 9-foot rake fell from the sky and directly hit the white giant's head. This rake caused the world to collapse, and the white giant's mind trembled. For a moment, he didn't wake up at all. Boom! A giant golden hand fell from the sky and slapped directly on the white giant's head. This slap made the world instantly lose its color, and the space shattered inch by inch. Terrifying shockwaves spread in all directions. Fortunately, there was a grand array protecting the plaza, so everyone was fine. They stared blankly at the sky, feeling as if their hearts had been struck by a heavy blow. Even Sun Hao looked startled at this moment, and his eyes flickered with uncertainty. He didn't expect that Luo Qianling was actually Yingyu. Even he himself was unable to see through his cloning ability. Previously, he was prepared to kill her. Now that he thought about it, it was really funny. Sun Wukong's eyes shone brightly as he looked at this. That's great. All 3 junior brothers have obtained some demonic energy. Young master, should we make a move? Goku looked at Sun Hao and asked in a low voice. There's no hurry. Sun Hao smiled slightly. He looked up at the sky and continued to watch them fight. Boom! There was another loud noise. The 9-toothed harrow pierced through the white giant's body and nailed it into the air. Damn it, damn it. A group of ants dares to fight against the heavens? All of you have completely infuriated me. Children, get up. The white giant roared towards the sky. Instantly. Howl! The sky suddenly darkened. Black clouds rushed over, covering the sky so tightly that not even the wind could pass through. These black clouds rotated rapidly. Various colors of lightning kept galloping in the black clouds, bursting out with frightening power. Whoosh! All kinds of white light poured down from the black clouds. Buzz! Green giants with a height of 1,000 meters appeared in all directions. Each giant was covered with long green hair, which made people's hearts tremble. However, these green giants all exuded the aura of the Saint Realm. Together, like a tsunami, it rushed out, pressing on Yingyu and the others. They couldn't help but tremble, and cold sweat dripped down. Children, kill them. With this sound, the green giants, like a running wild dog, rushed straight to the crowd, seeing that they were about to pounce on the crowd. At this time, Little Fragrance released a pink halo. Vines sprang up from their bodies and pounced towards the green giants. Whoosh! The sound of breaking through the air resounded continuously. In less than a moment, all the green giants were bound. Howl, howl! The green giants struggled frantically, trying to break free, but they couldn't break free even after exhausting all their strength. Buzz! The Rot-Tan squeezed tighter and tighter. Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The green giants burst open one by one, exploding into blood foam. Green blood rain drifted out. It fell on the great array, burning the great array for a while, as if it was about to break apart. Such a scene directly scared everyone in place, revealing a look of disbelief. Oh my God! Tens of thousands of demon saints were killed in one move? Too terrifying. These 2 world trees are too powerful. What the hell happened? Why did the king attack the Son of Heaven? I have a bad premonition that something big is about to happen. On the other side of the sky, Yao Jiuqian stared blankly at this scene, and for a while, he didn't come back to his senses. He gently wiped the sweat on his forehead with his hand, revealing a look of fear. She's not Luo Qianling. Who is she? She dares to fight against the Son of Heaven. She doesn't want to live. No, I have to get out of here as soon as possible. Thinking like this, Yao Jiuqian looked at the offerings in front of him, waved his right hand, and prepared to put them into the soul space. The next second, his face changed, revealing a look of horror. He found that his soul space had lost contact with himself. Yao Jiuqian was still in a daze for a moment. At this time, swish, a sound of breaking through the air rang out. Tens of thousands of wrought tan, rushing over. Boom! In an instant, the vines shattered all the chains that bound the demon beasts. Yao Jiuqian's face changed drastically when he saw this scene. Without thinking about it, he summoned the teleportation space, stepped forward, and wanted to step into it. However, swish, the sound of breaking through the air came quickly. Several wrought tan, in an instant, tied Yao Jiuqian up like a dumpling. No matter how he struggled, it was futile. Dare to capture the person that the young master guards. Today, you will leave your life here. Xiaofun's killing intent rose. Xiaofun, give him to the young master to deal with. Don't kill people so easily. Xiaofeng retorted, being soft-hearted, really losing the name of our Azura twin saints. Besides, where is the young master? Xiaofeng said, we will definitely meet in the future at that time. Just give it to the young master. Chapter 595. Swish! Countless vines enveloped him from all directions. In an instant, the white giant was tied up like a rice dumpling. Dead thing, you have this day? Zhu Beiji waved the nine-toothed rake and hit the white giant again and again. Poochie! The sound of metal piercing flesh and blood kept ringing. Bloody holes penetrated the white giant's body. However, the white giant did not bleed, and the bloody holes on his body emitted white light. The wounds on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, Zhu Beiji gasped, looking at the white giant, and couldn't help but frown. This old guy can't be killed at all. I'm tired. I'll take a break first. Fourth junior brother, it's your turn now. Zhu Beiji flew back, changed to the size of a normal person, and watched from a distance. No problem. After Sha Wujing finished speaking, the giant Buddha in front of him quickly slapped his giant hands. Boom! Every attack landed on the white giant's body. The white giant's chest was sunken, his body was distorted, and his appearance was extremely miserable. However, his recovery was also extremely fast. His body changed rapidly between distortion and normal. Fine beads of sweat overflowed from Sha Wujing's forehead. He stopped chanting, looked at the golden dragon floating in the sky, and said, Third senior brother, now it's your turn. Howl! A dragon's roar shook the world. The golden dragon flew away and stood in front of a white giant. Immediately afterward, he waved his claws and madly grabbed the white giant. Deep bone-visible tear marks covered the white giant's body. He struggled frantically as if he wanted to break free from the wrought tan bondage. However, he couldn't break free even after exhausting all his methods. He couldn't even say a word. But the golden dragon's claws could penetrate the wrought tan and directly grab him. The white giant recovered from the injury and was injured in the recovery. The aura on his body was getting weaker and weaker. When the golden dragon rested, Ning Mingji continued to attack. In this way, the white giant's body gradually became illusory under the attacks of everyone. Everyone looked up at all this and murmured for a long time without spitting out a word. After a while, my ancestor, the Son of Heaven, is going to be beaten to death. Too cruel, too terrible. Who the hell are they? Yeah, I also want to know, what kind of existence is the young master they're talking about? The crowd exclaimed as they watched the battle in the sky. What's there to be surprised about? That's just a clone of the son of the heavenly Tao. Can they defeat him with his true body? That's right. They fought for so long with just a clone. If the main body came, would they be a match for it? They're dead for sure. They actually dared to provoke the son of the heavenly Tao. They're completely tired of living. There were also many voices of doubt. As the battle continued, the white giant grew weaker and weaker. Suddenly, roar, an angry roar rang out. The vines binding the white giant's body suddenly ruptured one by one. Damned ants, you forced me to do this. Today I will grind your bones to dust, to resolve the hatred in my heart. Now it's time to experience my wrath. After saying these words, phew, ripples appeared in the sky as beams of white light rained down from the sky, quickly enveloping the white giant. The white giant's aura grew at a visible rate. Buzz, from the white giant's body, waves of spherical chi rippled out in all directions. The terrifying power blew Ingyu and the others far away, unable to approach at all. Seeing this scene, Ingyu's face changed drastically. Not good. What's wrong? Senior Ingyu, this Taoist is about to break through and reach the Holy Spirit realm. As soon as these words came out, it was as if the 9 heavens' divine thunder had struck the top of everyone's head. Suddenly, their faces changed drastically, and cold sweat flowed from their foreheads. What? Holy Spirit? What should we do? A clone is a Holy Spirit. If his main body comes, how should we deal with it? Everyone looked at Ingyu, revealing a look of inquiry. Ingyu stood in place with a cautious expression. The main body shouldn't come, otherwise it would have come just now. He's burning his origin power to forcibly raise his realm. I don't think it will last long. We only need to persist for an hour to defeat him, Ingyu said solemnly. Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Senior Ingyu, please instruct us. All right. Ingyu revealed a cautious look and began to command everyone. Phew. Everyone divided into different directions, looking at the white giant with a solemn face. They waited quietly, waiting for the chi waves on the white giant to disappear, and then launched a thunderous attack. Buzz, the chi waves on the white giant's body became weaker and weaker, and gradually stopped. He floated in the sky, quietly closing his eyes, as if everything had nothing to do with him. Attack! A loud shout rang out. Immediately after, everyone moved together, and all kinds of unique skills blasted at the white giant. Buzz, the white giant suddenly opened his eyes, and 2 cold, killing intent burst out. Swish, his eyes swept, and 2 white rays of light burst out. Wherever it went, the unique skills broke apart one after another. All of everyone's moves collapsed. Puff, one by one, because of the backlash of power, their bodies flew out, vomiting blood. One blow, they were not lightly injured. Not good. Ingyu's face changed drastically, forcibly propped up his body, looked at the white giant, and roared, "We are not a match for him, Run." This sound seemed to use up all the strength of Ingyu's body, directly shaking everyone's mind. Everyone woke up, forcibly pressed down the injuries on their bodies, took a step forward, and each of them used their escape method, preparing to escape. Escape! The white giant revealed a cold smile. Stretching out his palm, he waved it forward unhurriedly. Buzz, the heavens and the earth trembled, and a terrifying binding force instantly enveloped them. At this moment, they exhausted all their methods and strength, but they still couldn't break free. Their bodies flew out uncontrollably and fell in front of the white giant. The white giant smiled coldly, and his monstrous anger was contained in it. A few ants of the Saint Realm also want to fight against the heavens. Today, I will let you experience the anger of the heavens. You and others are just sacrifices to the heavens. Everything is guided by you. Next, let's start with you. The white giant looked at Ingyu, stretched out his finger, and pointed forward. Ingyu's body flew out uncontrollably and fell into the hands of the white giant. Senior Ingyu. Everyone looked at Ingyu and shouted. Their eyes were full of despair. Don't worry about me. Even if I die, the young master will avenge us. Ingyu said, Avenge? Ants also want to avenge the heavens? Die! After speaking, the white giant stretched out his palm and pressed it down at Ingyu. Chapter 596. It's over. Seeing the palm aimed at itself, and you closed her eyes and waited quietly for death. However, after waiting for a while, she did not see the pain coming. She slowly opened her eyes and looked up. Her pupils shrank, and her face was shocked. She saw, in front of her, a man in white stretched out a palm and blocked the big hand covering the sky. Compared with the big hand covering the sky, this finger was simply negligible. However, this finger was like a pillar supporting the sky, unshakable. It was none other than Sun Hao who made the move. Everyone's eyes were also fixed on Sun Hao, showing an incredible expression. Who is he? How is it possible to block the Holy Spirit's blow with a finger? I don't know. He looks so ordinary. I have never seen him before. How can such a character not be famous? Everyone opened their mouths wide and murmured for a long time without spitting out a word. Surprise was written all over everyone's face. In the crowd, Qinshua looked at this scene, and her eyes flickered with uncertainty. The corners of her mouth rose slightly, and after nodding, she calmed down. The white giant looked at Sun Hao with a face of disbelief. Umph. The white giant snorted coldly and looked at Sun Hao as if looking at an ant. I like to see how a reptile like you can fight against the heavens. Die. A furious roar shook heaven and earth. Above the palm covering the sky, a dazzling white light lit up, illuminating the whole world. The terrifying power, like the Milky Way pouring down, all enveloped Sun Hao. However, there was no reaction. Sun Hao stood there, not even blinking his eyebrows, looking extremely calm. Such a scene directly stunned everyone in place, and their faces were full of disbelief. The Holy Spirit's full blow didn't even make his face change. Who is he? Inge looked at Sun Hao, his face changing, as if to see through Sun Hao. But he couldn't see through him at all. This is such a powerful strength. He won't be the young master, right? Xiaofang looked at Sun Hao, and in her eyes, the light flickered. Young master? How is it possible? How did the young master come to demon ancestral realm? Xiaofan kept shaking her head, showing a look of disbelief. Could it be that the young master really came? It's unlikely. However, no matter what, such a person is definitely not simple. Ning Mingji and others muttered to themselves, and all the worship swept to Sun Hao. Impossible. The white giant gritted his teeth and unleashed all of his power into his palm. However, he exhausted all his strength and couldn't shake a finger of Sun Hao. My turn. Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth, stretched out his finger, and blasted it toward the big hand covering the sky. Kacha, the white light barrier that enveloped the sky-covering hand, immediately burst open. A terrifying force blasted onto the palm of the white giant. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out, causing everyone's ears to ring. The sky-covering hand crumbled into dust bit by bit, turning into light and shadow, vanishing without a trace. This scene caused the white giant to be dumbfounded. He stared blankly at his disappearing palm with a look of disbelief. Ah! A miserable shriek resounded throughout heaven and earth. The white giant held on to his missing arm and screamed in pain. Phew! On his body, waves of white light surged and rapidly healed his wounds. The palm that had disappeared regenerated at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, Sun Hao would not give him a chance to recover. With a step of his right leg, he disappeared instantly. When he appeared again, he had already arrived in front of the white giant's head. He turned his palm into a fist and blasted it at the white giant's eyeball. You dare! The words just fell. Boom! There was a loud noise. The white giant's left eyeball exploded directly. Ah! The earth-shattering scream resounded through heaven and earth again. Boom! There was another loud noise, and another eye of the white giant was blasted into powder by Sun Hao. He covered his eyes with his hands, showing a painful expression. At the moment he screamed, his chin was punched by Sun Hao again. In this way, the white giant's body was covered with wounds under Sun Hao's bombardment, and it was horrible to look at. Under Sun Hao's attack, the white giant had no chance to fight back at all. Everyone stared at this scene blankly, shocked to the extreme. God, the Son of Heaven, was tortured by him and had no power to fight back. Dream, it must be a dream. How can there be such a character in this world? My ancestor is too ferocious, too terrible. Fortunately, he is not my enemy. Everyone muttered to themselves, and their hearts were hit by a stone hammer, and they could not calm down at all. Yao Jiuqian was bound in midair. He looked at this scene, opened his mouth wide, and murmured for a long time without spitting out a word. Not far from him, Huang Yuli looked at Sun Hao, and her whole face changed. She looked at Sun Hao, secretly wiped a cold sweat, and her face was full of fear, such terrifying strength. I'm afraid even the young master can't compare. Boom! The battle continued, and the white giant continued to be attacked by Sun Hao. The injuries on his body were already indescribable. Damn it! Damn it! You have completely angered this seat. After these two sounds, the white giant's body shrank rapidly, and soon it became the size of a normal person. The injuries on his body were all recovered. The terrifying recovery power rotated rapidly on his body. Boom! The white giant stepped out and disappeared instantly. Boom! He and Sun Hao fought together, and the two of them attacked wildly. Beside the two, the spherical wave of air shook out wildly. Wherever it went, the space was shattered inch by inch. A piece of space turbulence rushed out, enveloping the two of them. Wow! The spatial turbulence cut into the white giant's body, shredding it into pieces. However, his body's resilience was extremely terrifying, and soon it recovered to its original state. His body was destroyed in the recovery and repaired in the destruction. These space turbulence hit Sun Hao, but there was no reaction. Ding! On his body, there was a burst of metal flames. The space turbulence could not hurt him at all. Boom! Sun Hao kept blasting on the white giant, blasting his body until it was distorted and deformed. The white giant's resilience was getting weaker and weaker. Damned worm, damned ant. Even if you kill this seat, when this seat comes, I will not spare you. Dare to fight against the heavens, you insects, all must die. The white giant was caught in Sun Hao's hand and let out a burst of roars. Die! The corner of Sun Hao's mouth raised, and he unhurriedly stretched out his fist, aiming at the white giant's head, and blasted over. With this punch, Sun Hao exerted all his strength. The moment the fist just blasted out, the surrounding space quickly collapsed. The terrifying power was about to wrap the white giant. At this time, a sudden change occurred. Sun Hao's hair stood on end, and when he looked back, his face changed drastically, and he thought it was not good. Chapter 597. Die! Sun Hao raised his fist and blasted it down at the white giant. Qin Shilua looked at Sun Hao's fist, and the corners of her mouth rose slightly. Little guy, you can't ruin my good things because of you. This battlefield must be opened. Qin Shilua's eyes swept and stared directly at the two giant statues. Immediately, buzz, two vibrations sounded. The two giant statues brightened at a speed visible to the naked eye. One blue and one red, illuminating the whole world. Immediately afterward, buzz, heaven and earth trembled. A huge vortex shrouded the sky. A terrifying suction force spread from the vortex in all directions, enveloping everyone. Everyone's body flew out uncontrollably and was attracted into the vortex. Sun Hao sensed all the changes behind him, and his face changed dramatically. Looking back, his pupils also contracted. That terrifying suction force quickly shrouded him. His fist that was swung down was stuck in the air. The suction force pulled his body quickly into the vortex. Sun Hao struggled frantically, and blue veins popped up all over his body. It was like a bronze statue fixed on the ground, unable to move. In front of him, the white giant's body flew out uncontrollably and was sucked into the vortex. Soon, only Sun Hao and Qin Shilua were left on the entire field. Qin Shilua's body was like transparent, just standing there calmly, looking at Sun Hao seriously. Sunhow roared and released the power of the soul space to fight against this suction force. However, it was still useless. In the face of this suction force, Sunhow's struggle was futile. After he persisted for half an hour, Sunhow was pulled in the vortex and disappeared above the sky. Qin Shilua's body slowly condensed and formed. She looked at the vortex where everyone disappeared, and the corner of her mouth raised a faint smile. It's a little interesting, this little guy can actually resist for half an hour. It seems that I still underestimated him. However, this is interesting. I'm coming. Qin Shilua stepped into the vortex. Buzz, the light flashed, and the vortex returned to calm. The only things left standing were the two huge statues. Buzz, the scenery changed, and Sunhow appeared in another world. Where is this? Sunhow looked around with a blank face. They saw there were mountains and rivers in this world, and the scenery was picturesque. It was indescribably beautiful. Sunhow looked up and couldn't help but look startled. At this moment, he realized that there was a blue health bar above his head. This feeling was like a character in a game. Buzz, suddenly the sky trembled. An invisible force enveloped his body. He controlled Sunhow's body and walked forward. Sunhow gritted his teeth and roared loudly, madly resisting this invisible force. He succeeded. He didn't follow the instructions of that invisible force, not walking forward, but instead retreating. Holy shit! A cursing voice rang in his ears. What kind of lousy game is this? My character doesn't listen to me. I told him to move forward, but he actually moved backward. Are you serious? Is it because the network is so bad that you're stuck? We're on the same network. How can there be any difference? The conversation between the two rang in Sunhow's ears. Listening to these familiar voices, Sunhow frowned. Could it be that he was sent into the game, driven by players? In fact, are people the same? What kind of existence is the person who made such a game? Isn't this too scary? Where did these players come from? Thinking like this, Sunhow looked at the void and stared straight ahead. Look, this character is actually staring at me. It's too scary. I feel like he's conscious. Isn't this ancient war game too realistic? No, I feel like he's a living person. The two players stared blankly at Sunhow on a game screen with a cold sweat on his forehead. At this time, you two, can you hear my voice? Sunhow's voice directly scared the two of them. They directly dropped the game controller and stayed away from the game screen. After a long time, one of them calmed down slightly, looked at Sunhow on the game screen, and said, I can hear you. Can you also hear what I said? Very soon. Yes. A resolute and decisive voice rang out. You two, tell me what game this is. Hearing this, the two of them breathed a sigh of relief. Ancient War, the two of them said in unison. Hearing the voices of the two, Sunhow frowned secretly. Ancient War? This game didn't listen to them at all. Are they not Earthlings? Where are you located? Sunhow asked. Jiang City, not on Earth. Hearing this, the two players smiled and shook their heads. Of course, it's Earth. Where else can it be? What year is it now? 2055 AD, 2095. Sunhow frowned. When he crossed over, it seemed to be 2020. Unexpectedly, more than 70 years had passed now. It seemed that the time on Earth was basically the same as the time he was in. It was normal that he had never heard of the game, Ancient War. Tell me the rules of the game. Sunhow said, Ancient War is a role-playing battle game. The game is mainly divided into two camps, namely the red and blue sides. The rule to win the game is to knock down the opponent's crystal tower. The two of them said one sentence at a time. When they heard Sunhow's ears, they couldn't help but nod secretly. This game was similar to the King of Glory that he encountered in his previous life. The difference was that the character controlled by each player was a hero. Everyone had different skills and started a fight. Hundreds of thousands of people fought at the same time. The scene was like a big fight. I am also an Earthling, and I have also crossed over into the game. You two listen, just watch the battle. Don't tell anyone about this. Otherwise, I will, after speaking. Sunhow picked up a stone and held it gently. Gotcha! The stone shattered into powder. Sharp eyes stared at the screen at the same time. In the eyes of the two people, They trembled all over, revealing a look of horror. Yes, yes, Big Brother, we will not say it. Big Brother, we have told you all the rules of the game. Next, it's up to you. The two people's voices trembled, and they were afraid of Sun Hao. Very well, remember what you said, otherwise you will be like this cup. In Sun Hao's eyes, two murderous intentions suddenly flashed. The cup standing in front of the two people suddenly vibrated. Finally, boom, with a loud bang, the cup directly exploded and shattered in a fine powder. This scene scared the two people out of their wits, and they were terrified. Sun Hao withdrew his gaze, and the corner of his mouth raised a faint smile. Then he strode forward. Chapter 598. In a jungle on the battlefield of the strange battle, a group of ferocious wild boars surrounded Sun Hao and attacked frantically. In Sun Hao's eyes, a series of misses kept showing. Obviously, these ferocious wild boars failed to cause any harm to Sun Hao. Puff! Sun Hao waved his dagger, and every time he waved, the wild boars around him fell down one by one. Ding! Experience plus 20 ding! Experience plus 20! A series of system prompts kept ringing. At this moment, Sun Hao was like playing a game, relaxed and extremely leisurely. The outside world. The two players stared at the screen and couldn't help but widen their eyes. The color of worship was written all over the faces of the two. Big Brother, it's really awesome. He can easily kill a level 10 wild boar at level 1. This strength is too strong. Indeed, Big Brother is really powerful. He must have been a ruthless person in the real world before. If we record the video of Big Brother's performance and post it on the internet, it will definitely be popular on the internet. Come on, did you see this cup? The two saw the cup that turned into powder, and they were terrified. To be able to shatter two cups in the outside world in the game, this strength was terrifying. If it was their hearts that were shattered, wouldn't they be dead? Thinking of this, fine beads of sweat overflowed on their foreheads, and they secretly wiped their cold sweat. We must not tell anyone about Big Brother. The two secretly made a decision. Sun Hao didn't know what the two were thinking. At this moment, he was concentrating on killing monsters, and his level was rising rapidly. After a while, the wild boars in front of Sun Hao were killed. His level was successfully raised to level 10. Although my level has increased, my strength has not increased much. My current strength should still be at the 5th stage of the Saint Realm. I wonder if I can open the soul space now. Thinking like this, Sun Hao's mind moved. Suddenly, his mind came to the soul space. Looking up, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. He saw that the soul space was filled with endless power of faith, which almost occupied a small half of the universe space. How long has it been? This power of faith has increased dozens of times. I'm afraid I won't be able to reach the 9th stage of the Saint Realm. My physical body can be further improved. Sun Hao's face showed a look of ecstasy. He didn't need to cultivate at all. He only needed to improve his strength through the power of faith. This was much easier than ordinary people working themselves to death to cultivate. Sun Hao's mind returned to his body, sat cross-legged on the ground, and cultivated directly. Phew! Streams of faith power rushed out of his soul space and crazily circulated in his meridians. His physical body was rapidly strengthening. Gotcha! In the blink of an eye, the barrier of the realm cracked open. Sun Hao's realm reached the 6th level of the Saint Realm. Of course, it didn't stop. It was as if it had just begun. The corners of Sun Hao's mouth rose, feeling his body being washed by the power of faith, and he almost cried out in comfort. Time passed bit by bit. Soon, several hours had passed. Sun Hao opened his eyes, and his face showed a touch of joy. At this moment, he had reached the 9th level of the Saint Realm. His physical body had reached an unimaginably terrifying level. In the end, Sun Hao could not confirm how strong it was. However, one thing was certain. With his current physical strength, it would not be a problem for him to kill the white giant with a single slap. Not only that, but apart from his physical body and cultivation level, his divine sense and mental state had also improved significantly. After a while, Sun Hao withdrew his joy, and his face gradually became dignified. Although my strength has improved so much, I'm afraid I'm still not the opponent of the behind-the-scenes manipulator. I can't expose myself for the time being before obtaining my inheritance. Sun Hao thought secretly, withdrawing the impulse to release his divine sense. Then he took a step forward. Buzz, with a flash of light, he disappeared in place instantly. The outside world. The two people staring at Sun Hao's screen directly stood in place. The two were surprised to find that Sun Hao disappeared in the screen, and they didn't know where he went. Moving the map frantically, they couldn't find Sun Hao. This teleportation. It's terrifying. I feel that power is real. Yes, presumably with Big Brother's strength. It's not a problem to destroy the Earth easily. That goes without saying. Fear was written all over their faces. In a forest in the alien battlefield, a little Loli stood in place, her eyes glazed. Suddenly, she moved. She walked forward. However, she only took a few steps and stopped. Then, she took a few steps back. Soon, she walked forward again, and then took a few steps back again. After a few times, she still stood in place, not leaving half a meter away. When the player who controlled her saw this scene, he threw the game handle away fiercely, showing an angry look. What kind of broken game is this? This character doesn't listen to the command at all. It's not fun at all. After speaking, the player left his seat and walked out of the room. What the player didn't know was that after he left, the character in the game began to move. His lifeless eyes suddenly regained consciousness. What kind of power is this? It can control my body. The little Loli muttered to herself, her face showing a touch of fear. She clenched her fists, the veins on her body bulged, and her whole person roared again and again, but she couldn't get rid of that control. She took a few steps forward with her legs that were as heavy as a can of lead. However, after taking a few steps, her body was bounced back by an inexplicable force, and she returned to her original place again. Within a radius of 1 meter, it was like a circle of imprisonment, making her unable to leave. Tap, tap. Suddenly, footsteps sounded behind her. The little Loli looked back, and her face changed slightly. She saw that a 2-meter-tall humanoid monster with a pair of fangs a few centimeters long stood there. At this moment, the humanoid monster was looking at her with a look of surprise. In the mouth of the humanoid monster, saliva kept dripping down. Hiss, falling to the ground, it directly burned a hole in the ground. Deity? I found a deity here. The humanoid monster spoke in human language. The rough voice vibrated out, resounding throughout the world. After this sound, tap tap, a series of hurried footsteps sounded. Soon, dozens of humanoid monsters surrounded the little Loli. There was a look of greed on everyone's face. That look was like an extremely hungry person who encountered a table of peerless delicacies. Their eyes were shining with undying light. It's really a deity, only level 1, seems to have just been born. Looks soft and tender. It must be delicious. This time, I want to steam this deity. What's so good about steaming? Braising is better. I think it's still best to fry it. It's crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. The taste is definitely delicious. A group of humanoid monsters surrounded the little Loli in disgust. Chapter 599. Little Loli looked at these humanoid monsters, and in her eyes, a trace of panic flashed. She struggled frantically, and in her eyes, 2 lines of tears came out. Boss, let me do it. They're all rough hands. It's not good to hurt such a delicate and tender god. A relatively thin humanoid monster stood up. Okay. The leader of the humanoid monsters nodded slightly. Jia, the thin humanoid monster grinned and walked towards little Loli step by step. Little doll, don't worry. You're the most delicious food. I won't hurt you. After speaking, the thin monster took out a harpoon and stabbed it at little Loli's chest. That speed was so fast that people couldn't react. Little Loli let out a scream. Ding! A metal collision sounded. Little Loli looked up, showing a surprised expression. In front of her, she didn't know when there was a body standing. He was dressed in white, and his temperament was extraordinary. Each and every one of his movements was extremely natural, making him look extremely comfortable. For a moment, Little Lowly froze in place and couldn't help but exclaim, "Young master?" This little Lowly was none other than Xiao Fong. Xiao Fong smiled bitterly and sighed softly. "How could young master be here? It seems that I miss young master too much." Xiao Fong sighed secretly, her eyes sweeping on Sun Hao, only to see Sun Hao stretched out 2 fingers and gently clamped them on the harpoon. No matter how hard the humanoid monster tried, it couldn't break free. Level 10 god? Boss, another god came. This is interesting. So strong, there must be a lot of meat. When you eat it, it must be chewy and full of fragrance. A group of humanoid monsters looked at Sun Hao, and there was no concealment of greed. The leader of the humanoid monsters looked at Sun Hao, the corner of his mouth raised, and the complacency flashed away. "Let go." In front of Sun Hao, the humanoid monster struggled frantically. Sun Hao grinned, stepped out, and instantly stood in front of the humanoid monster. Then he stretched out his finger, aimed at the humanoid monster's eyebrows, and blasted it. No! An unwilling shout came to an abrupt end. Boom! With an explosion, the humanoid monster's head exploded directly. Green juice sprayed all over the ground. The humanoid monster fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and then stopped moving. Such a scene directly scared the other humanoid monsters in place. They looked at Sun Hao, their faces full of fear. This god is not simple. Everyone, don't just stand there. Let's attack together. The leader of the humanoid monsters roared and charged forward with the rest of the humanoid monsters. Each of the monsters used their ultimate moves. Phew! All kinds of skills flew up and flew toward Sun Hao. Boom! The explosions continued. Various skill lights burst on Sun Hao's body. For a while, it wrapped Sun Hao and disappeared. Ah! The group of humanoid monsters threw their heads back and laughed maniacally. They looked like a victorious army that couldn't be described with words. Young master, Xiao Fong's heart ached, and tears welled up in her eyes. She looked at Sun Hao, who was shrouded by skills, and felt distressed. She struggled frantically and stepped forward. However, she could only take one step at most before returning to her original spot. She was unable to walk out of that circle. This kid, won't he be burned to slag? No way. It's a pity that such a strong god was burned like this. Such a fragrant meat is gone, just like that. Waves of ringing sounds rang out. The group of humanoid monsters sighed again and again, quietly waiting for the flames on Sun Hao's body to disappear. Phew! All the skill lights disappeared. Sun Hao's figure appeared in front of the group of humanoid monsters. He stood there calmly, without any scars on his body. Even his clothes didn't leave a trace. Such a scene directly scared all the humanoid monsters in place. They stared at Sun Hao blankly, showing a look of disbelief. This is impossible. How can a level 10 god not be hurt at all? This must be a dream. This must be fake. This must be an illusion. The group of humanoid monsters kept shaking their heads, unwilling to believe the scene in front of them. Not good. The leader's scalp exploded, and a fatal crisis enveloped his heart. Without any hesitation, the leader took a step and ran away quickly. Bang! The loud trampling sound awakened the other humanoid monsters. One by one, they took a step and ran away quickly. The corner of Sun Hao's mouth raised, and his face showed a cold, killing intent. He dared to attack his own people and wanted to eat her. How could he run away? Sun Hao stretched out his finger unhurriedly and pointed forward. Buzz, there was a shock. The surrounding space, like a cage, wrapped all the humanoid monsters. No, mercy! Shouts and despair filled the entire space. Everyone's body flew out uncontrollably and fell in front of Sun Hao. They all knelt in front of Sun Hao, begging for mercy and saluting. However, Sun Hao smiled coldly, stretched out his hand unhurriedly, and pointed forward. Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The bodies of the group of humanoid monsters kept breaking apart. Green blood sprinkled down like a blood rain. It dyed the whole earth green. Phew! Sun Hao waved his right hand, and a flame flew out from his fingertips, whistling across the ground. Soon, all the bloodstains and minced meat were burned into nothingness disappearing completely. The whole earth, as if nothing had ever appeared. Xiaofang looked at Sun Hao with an excited expression. When Sun Hao turned around and looked back, she took a step and rushed towards Sun Hao frantically. However, she had just taken a step, and her whole body lost its center of gravity, falling directly face down to the ground. Seeing that Xiaofang was about to fall like a dog eating mud. At this time, a gentle force enveloped her, holding her body and keeping her from falling. Sun Hao walked towards Xiaofang step by step, and his body slowly changed, returning to its original appearance. When Xiaofang saw Sun Hao, tears brewed in her eyes. She was extremely excited. I knew it, I knew it. You are the young master. Sure enough. Young master, you came to save us again. Xiaofang stood in place, stamping her feet, tears in her eyes, falling down. Sun Hao stood in front of Xiaofang and looked up at the sky. In his eyes, a flash of light passed quickly. Kacha, the mysterious force that bound Xiaofang's body, disintegrated instantly. At this moment, Xiaofang regained her freedom. Without any hesitation, she threw herself directly into Sun Hao's arms and hugged him tightly. Young master, thank you. You saved me again. Tears soaked Sun Hao's clothes thoroughly. Sun Hao gently patted Xiaofang's shoulder to show comfort. Xiaofang, you're welcome. I'm late. You've suffered. These words were like hitting Xiaofang's pain point, and the tears that had stopped flowed out again. End of this chapter. Chapter 600. Young master, I finally see you. How have you been in the past 50 years? By the way, have you rescued Madame Ramon? Xiaofang looked at Sun Hao and asked. Hearing this, Sun Hao sighed secretly and roughly told her about what had happened in the past 50 years. Xiaofang listened to Sun Hao's story, and her expression changed. She clenched her fists, and her face was resentful. Young master, Madame Ramon is a lucky person. She will be fine. They threatened you with Madame. I think they have a purpose. They will not do anything to Madame. Xiaofang said. I hope so. Sun Hao looked at the sky with a sad face. Then he looked at Xiaofang and asked, By the way, how have you been these years? Xiaofang sighed inwardly and began to speak. Young master, these years we have been forced to hide by the Yanluan Emperor. Finally, we fell into a dangerous place, where we all got a lot of good fortune. Our strength smoothly broke through to the Saint Realm. After coming out, we met Master Mingji and the others. They also got some good fortune, and their strength advanced by leaps and bounds. We used a scheme together to kill the Yanluan Emperor, and then seeing you smoothly sat on the throne of the Emperor. No one doubted it. Later, after many inquiries, we learned that the Son of Heaven controlled the world and used a scheme to let the two countries kill each other, especially the ancient monster bloodline. Countless were killed by him and became sacrifices. Knowing this, we made a plan to kill the Son of Heaven. You should have seen everything next. Speaking of this, Xiaofang's expression showed a dispirited look. Young master, it's our fault for not being strong enough to cause this situation. Xiaofang looked apologetic. Xiaofang was like a budding flower bud, giving people a different kind of beauty. Two small steam buns, neither big nor small, just right. The strange fragrance of flowers came to the nose from time to time. It strongly stimulated Sun Hao's nasal cavity, and the whole person was extremely comfortable. That kind of lovable appearance made people full of protective desire. Xiaofang, I don't blame you. It's all my fault. I came late. I made you suffer. Sun Hao said. Young master, you are so kind. Xiaofang threw herself on Sun Hao's chest and hugged him tightly. The two soft balls pressed against his chest, and the fragrance entered his nostrils. For a moment, it was like a divine dragon emerging from the sea, as if it wanted to compete with the heavens. Sensing Sun Hao's strangeness, Xiaofang's face was slightly red. He stretched out his hand and grabbed it. Instantly, sizzle, Sun Hao was like an electric shock. The divine dragon stood proudly, as if it could break through the heavens and earth. However, no matter how much the divine dragon struggled, it was useless. It could only allow itself to be slaughtered. Young master, you haven't released it in a long time, right? Xiaofang said with a red face. This, Sun Hao looked startled. For a while, it was hard to answer. Young master, don't be shy, let me help you. Anyway, in the past, it was us and Madam who released it together with you. Otherwise, Madam won't be able to take it. Xiao Fang's words were gentle to the bottom of his heart. Sun Hao couldn't give birth to the slightest feeling of resistance. The next second, the sky-covering giant hand reached into the dragon's nest and pulled out the entire dragon god. What happened next could not be described with words. Tens of thousands of words should be omitted here. Half a day later, Kacha, a series of cracking sounds of the realm membrane sounded. Xiao Fang's strength, continuously improved, reached the 8th stage of the Saint Realm. She froze in place with an excited look on her face. It took her a long time to recover her mood. Looking up at Sun Hao, her face was full of gratitude. Mine seems to be a lot bigger. My skin seems to be smoother. There are so many benefits to dual cultivation with a young master. Xiao Fang thought to herself as her face turned red. On the other side, Sun Hao was also stunned in place. His own realm also increased rapidly, reaching the peak of the 9th stage of the Saint Realm, only one step away from reaching the Holy Spirit Realm. The strength of this dual cultivation couldn't be underestimated. Compared with the power of faith, it was not much worse. After the two recovered their mood and dressed up neatly, Xiao Fang took Sun Hao's arm. Young master, let's go find Xiao Fun and the others? Xiao Fang asked. Okay. Sun Hao nodded, took Xiao Fang, and left quickly. In an instant, they disappeared without a trace. After the two disappeared, a silhouette slowly appeared. This person was none other than Qin Shiluo. She looked in the direction of Sun Hao's disappearance, and the corner of her mouth raised a faint smile. Little guy, I didn't think that you would break the shackles so quickly, not slower than me at all. Moreover, your realm has improved again, which is really beyond my expectation. However, this is a little interesting. Otherwise, it must not be fun. Your inheritance must be mine. It's time to arrange it. Thinking like this, Qin Shiluo took a step forward, his figure flashed, and also disappeared in place. After Qin Shiluo disappeared, another figure slowly emerged. This figure was a man. He was dressed in a red robe, and his hair was also fiery red. Even the skin of his whole body was red, emitting a metallic luster. He looked at Sun Hao's disappearing back, and the corner of his mouth raised a cruel smile. Godly cunning immortal, I didn't expect you to come here. In my territory, I want to see what kind of storm you can turn over. Next, the good show is about to begin. I hope you can hold on and don't die too fast. The corners of the red-robed man's mouth curled up. He was obviously smiling, but after people saw it, they couldn't help but feel creepy and uncomfortable. Somewhere in the battlefield of the strange battle, on a tribal square. At this moment, it was in the evening. Halala, halala. Next to a huge bonfire, a group of men and women surrounded the bonfire, singing unknown songs. Not in the same place, but in a cage. Men and women were imprisoned in it. These people were the ones who came to participate in the strange battle. Among these people, Huang Yuli was among them. She looked at these singers, and her face changed slightly. In the past few days, every time they sang, several people would be slaughtered like livestock, or boiled, or fried, or steamed, or roasted. They were completely treated as dishes. In herself, there was an inexplicable force that she couldn't break free at all. Am I going to be eaten by them too? A look of despair was written all over her face. No, I can't die like this. I must see Meng before I die. She will definitely be saved by the young master. If they can be happy, I will die without regrets. Huang Yuli muttered to herself. Looking at the sky, her eyes seemed to penetrate hundreds of millions of miles. Halala! Suddenly, a shout awakened Huang Yuli. She looked up and saw an old man wearing a feather crown holding a scepter, pointing at her. This finger was like the finger of a demon from hell. Huang Yuli's body trembled, and cold sweat flowed. Is it my turn? Chapter 601. Take her, it's her tonight. The chieftain pointed at Huang Yuli and said, Yes, a burly man stood out, wielding a blade sharpened from wolf fangs, and stabbed towards Huang Yuli's neck. Looking at the incoming blade, Huang Yuli couldn't help but close her eyes and quietly await her death. 2 lines of tears rolled down from the corner of her eyes. The blade was about to pierce Huang Yuli's neck. At this moment, the blade turned, aiming at the chieftain's neck, and stabbed down. Puse, the sound of the blade piercing flesh rang out. The chieftain's neck was pierced. Hu! As the blade was pulled out, blood sprayed. The chieftain covered his neck with his hand, and the scepter in his hand emitted a green light, flying toward the wound on his neck. The neck injury was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, Puse, another blade, fiercely pierced into the chieftain's heart. Pong! The chieftain fell to the ground, twitching nonstop. Blood dyed the ground completely red. Pum! The chieftain kept twitching, and the light of the scepter in his hand became dimmer and dimmer. Finally, his body tilted, and he died. His eyes were wide open, and he died with a grievance. Such a scene directly scared the others to the spot. They looked at the burly man, their expressions changing. The chieftain was killed. Come quickly. A loud shout, shaking the sky. This sound attracted the people dancing and singing not far away. They reacted extremely quickly, holding all kinds of weapons, quickly surrounding the burly man. In the blink of an eye, they surrounded the burly man. Facing all this, the burly man's expression did not change, as if it had nothing to do with him. He stood there calmly, motionless. Tuoba Jean, you're rebelling. You dare to kill the chieftain. Go, tie him up. A man pointed at the burly man, shouting loudly. After this shout, kill, this group of men and women advanced and retreated in an orderly manner, combining offense and defense, pouncing toward the burly man together. The burly man stood there, motionless. Seeing that, several spears were about to pierce him into a hornet's nest. At this time, the burly man moved. He took a step forward, instantly disappearing. When he reappeared, he was already next to a woman. Without any protective feelings, he waved the dagger in his hand, aimed at her heart, and stabbed. Pusia, the woman's chest was pierced. The burly man pulled out his dagger and disappeared again in a flash. The woman's body fell to the ground in a daze. After twitching a few times, she stopped moving. Pusia, another man's neck was pierced through, and his body collapsed, dying with everlasting regret. In less than a moment, several people fell to the ground. When the leader of the group saw this, he stood rooted to the ground with a look of disbelief on his face. The next second, phew, a ghostly figure appeared behind him. The leader's pupils shrank, and the hair on his body stood on end. His body trembled uncontrollably. Wah! The saber light flashed. The leader's head flew up and landed heavily on the ground. His body also fell to the ground, and after twitching a few times, there was no more movement. However, all of this did not stop. The burly man was like a ghost, flashing everywhere. Every time he appeared, someone would be killed by him. After a while, only the burly man stood there. He stood there, his expression unchanged. Even his clothes were still the same color, not tainted by the slightest bit of blood. Looking at this burly man, Huang Yuli could not help but frown. Obviously, she had never seen this burly man before. Why would he save her? It did not make sense at all. The burly man walked towards her step by step. Soon, he stood in front of Huang Yuli. The blade in his hand was as fast as lightning, slashing at the top of Huang Yuli's head. Kacha! A cracking sound rang out. The mysterious power that bound Huang Yuli's body suddenly collapsed. At this moment, Huang Yuli regained her freedom. At the same time, her God Emperor realm strength was completely restored. Bang! With a slight force, the rope on Huang Yuli's body broke. She landed lightly and stood in front of the burly man. Thank you for saving my life, brother. Huang Yuli bowed. In the next moment, Huang Yuli's expression changed slightly, with a look of disbelief. Only to see, a ray of light flashed in the burly man's eyes. His eyes regained clarity, and his body fell straight to the ground, dying with everlasting regret. This is... Huang Yuli looked at the burly man on the ground, frowning and thinking. This is the charm technique. Could it be that Lai Na used it on him? Lai Na regained her freedom, and came to save me. Just as she finished speaking, who? A figure appeared in front of Huang Yuli. This person was none other than the Hulaina that she had mentioned. Lina, is it really you? Huang Yuli was surprised. Sister Yuli, you guessed it. You're really amazing. Hulaina said, Don't flatter me. I'm not as amazing as you. To be able to break free from that mysterious power. Huang Yuli looked at Hulaina and said, Sister, you think too highly of me. I don't have that ability. Hulaina said, It's not you? Did someone else help you cut off that mysterious power? Huang Yuli asked. That's right. Hulaina smiled and nodded, revealing a look of worship. Guess who that person is? To have this ability, his strength is at least that of a sage. Could it be Master Ming Wu? Huang Yuli asked. No, Master Ming Wu also couldn't cut off that mysterious power. Hulaina said. Then who is it? Huang Yuli was confused, unable to understand. Of course it's the young master. As soon as these words came out, it was like a thunderclap in Huang Yuli's mind. Her whole person froze in place, revealing an unbelievable surprise. The young master is in the demon ancestral realm. Yes. Hulaina nodded. Huang Yuli let out a long sigh of relief, her whole person revealing an incomparably moved expression. The young master really did everything to save us again. Our demon ancestral mountain really owes the young master too much. In this life, we can't repay it. Huang Yuli said, Yes, our heavenly fox clan also owes the young master. Hulaina nodded repeatedly. The two of them exchanged greetings for a while. After a while, they suppressed the excitement in their hearts. By the way, the young master asked me to save you, to let us gather at Yunlai City. Hulaina said, Yunlai City? Huang Yuli looked puzzled. Sister Yuli, Yunlai City is the main city of the blue side. At this point, Hulaina pointed to the sky. Look, that's a countdown. Only to see, in the sky, a string of numbers was displayed. 521, 12, 49 inch in 5 days. The war will officially start. We must gather at Cloud City as soon as possible. Hulaina's words caused Huang Yuli to be confused. She nodded along. All right, let's go to Yunlai City now. Huang Yuli said. All right. The two of them took a step and were about to move. Wang, in front of the two of them, the space shook and rippled. A figure walked out of the ripples and stood in front of Huang Yuli. Seeing this figure, Huang Yuli's pupils shrank and her face changed greatly. It's you. Chapter 602. In a great hall in Yunlai City, Sun Hao sat in the main seat, like an emperor who ruled the world. In front of him were 2 rows of people sitting on stools, each of them emitting the aura of a sacred realm cultivator. Among these people were Ning Mingji and his 3 disciples, Xiao Fun and Xiao Fong, Hu Luodi and Hu Luoxian. Every one of them was familiar with him. People like Su Yiling, Xuan Mei, Xin Yuan Shi, and others have all broken through to the sage realm. At this moment, they were summoned from Sun Hao's soul space. There were more than 100 sages in total. Have you searched the blue side? Sun Hao looked at Ning Mingji and asked, Young master, we have searched everywhere. All the monster races we found in the human world have been sent into your soul space. Ning Mingji stood up with a respectful look. Sun Hao nodded slightly when he heard this. How many more haven't been found? Sun Hao asked. It's impossible to estimate the exact number. For now, the people were familiar with her son Wukong, Senior Ingyu. Ning Mingji said a bunch of names. Sun Hao listened to these, and his gaze swept into the distance, seemingly penetrating hundreds of millions of miles. Looks like they're all on the red team. By the way, is Senior Lina back? Sun Hao asked. Young master, my mother hasn't returned yet. Hu Luodi stood up and said. He didn't come back? Sun Hao frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. With Hulaina's current abilities, saving Huang Yuli shouldn't be a problem. The two of them should have returned long ago. Why hadn't they returned after so long? Wait for me. Sun Hao's mind moved, and he instantly disappeared in place. When he reappeared, he was already at the place where Huang Yuli was tied up. On the ground, there were some corpses. Looking at the technique, it should be the result of Hulaina controlling others to make a move. They should have been rescued, but why didn't they gather at Yunlai City? Could it be that something had happened during this time? Thinking like this, Sun Hao's mind moved, and he used the law of karma. The karma traces around him slowly appeared in Sun Hao's mind. After a while, Sun Hao opened his eyes, and his face was solemn. Even the karmic traces have been erased. Even I couldn't detect it. Was it done by Senior Yuli? Impossible. Sun Hao directly denied. There was no need for Senior Yuli to do this. Even if it was necessary for them to do so, it was impossible for them to not notice it in front of his strength. Who is it? Sun Hao frowned, revealing a thoughtful look. Could it be the son of the heavenly Tao? Why did he kidnap Senior Yuli and the others? This doesn't make any sense. If he can hide himself from detection, dealing with me won't be a problem at all. There's no need to kidnap Senior Yuli. If it's not him, then who has the strength to do so? Demonic forefatherly fire? That's not quite possible. I have no enmity with him. Why would I kidnap them? If it's not the Leaf Fire demonic ancestor, then who is it? Could it be the darkness taboo? That's not quite possible either. The taboo of darkness has already kidnapped Ru Meng and the others. There's no need to kidnap Senior Yuli. For a while, Sun Hao didn't have any thoughts and couldn't figure out who it was. No matter who it is, when I find out, I'll definitely scatter your soul. Sun Hao secretly clenched his fists and hid his killing intent in his heart. After he calmed down, he raised his head and looked at the sky. The alien war has officially begun. There are only 3 days left. Sun Hao was about to leave. Buzz, layers of ripples appeared in front of him. A figure appeared in front of Sun Hao. The person who came was none other than Ning Mingji. Young master. Ning Mingji wanted to say something, but hesitated. It seemed that he had something to say to Sun Hao. Brother Ning, just say it, Sun Hao said. Young master. Ning Mingji took out a black crystal ball and handed it to Sun Hao. This was left by the master. We have no use for it. I'm here to give it to young master. Please accept it, Ning Mingji said. Master, are you talking about Qingyang? Sun Hao held the black crystal ball and kept looking at it. Inside the black crystal ball, there was no energy fluctuation. It looked like an ordinary object. Yes, young master. I can't see the use of this thing in our hands at all. Maybe in your hands, you can find the use. Ning Mingji said. If that's the case, then I'll accept it first. Sun Hao put the black crystal ball into the soul space. Let's go back first and talk. After speaking, Sun Hao took Ning Mingji, moved his mind, and returned to the main hall. Young master, you want to find my mother? Did you find them? Huluwadi looked at Sun Hao with a worried face. Sun Hao shook his head slightly. There's an existence that I can't figure out that robbed your mother and the others. What? Huluwadi was shocked. Even the young master couldn't figure out what kind of existence it was. It seemed that his mother was in danger. Thinking of this, Huluwadi's eyes, tears were brewing, and he resisted crying. Don't worry, your mother should be fine. When I am strong enough, I will save her, Sun Hao said. Huluwadi nodded heavily and wiped the tears in his eyes. Now, the strange war is about to start. I'm afraid this strange war is far from simple. What do you think about this? Sun Hao looked at the crowd and asked. Young master, Ning Mingji stood up first. According to my investigation, I found that there are less than 10 people who survive the strange war once every 10,000 years. And the Son of Heaven in this demon ancestral realm is also changed every 10,000 years. The people who participate every time are the outstanding talents of the demon ancestral realm, and their strength is high. I think, in fact, this strange war is just a battlefield to cultivate the Son of Heaven, and these people who participate in the war are nourishment. As for the rest of the people, it's just a little sweetness given by the Son of Heaven to the demon ancestral realm to let them participate in the strange war regardless of everything. Listening to Ning Mingji's analysis, everyone nodded slightly. Sun Hao looked at Ning Mingji and also nodded secretly. This guy thought the same thing as himself. His brain was quite good. The strange war is about to start. So what are your plans? Sun Hao asked. Young master, it's actually very simple. Just do one thing. Save people. Ning Mingji said. Save people? Why save people? Everyone looked at Ning Mingji with puzzled faces. Ning Mingji smiled slightly and continued to speak. If my guess is right, the strange war is actually to let everyone die and devour their energy for our own use. We save people just to destroy the plot of the mastermind behind the scenes. Another advantage is that the people saved will definitely be used by us and stand in the same camp as us. Everyone also knows that the Dark Era has started again, and the Dark Taboo has been hiding in the dark and ready to move. We need to unite all the forces that could be united in order to get through this crisis. Moreover, Young Master also said that the Dark Era is actually a small crisis, and there is a bigger crisis waiting for us. Ning Mingji's words, when heard by everyone, could not help but nod slightly. Chapter 603. Mu Bing's face was filled with confusion. Master Ming Wu, what you said is very reasonable. However, how should we save them? Mu Bing asked. As for how to save them, Young Master has his own ways. After he said that, swish, everyone's eyes were fixed on Sun Hao. That's right. I have a way to save them. You all sit down and listen to my song. Sun Hao said. Yes. Everyone's faces were brimming with excitement. One by one, they quickly sat cross-legged on the ground. It's been a long time since I've heard Young Master play. I wonder how far we can grow with Young Master's current strength. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This is a great opportunity. Everyone showed a face of excitement, staring straight at Sun Hao. Sun Hao waved his right hand, and an ancient zither appeared in front of him. Clang! The sound of the zither rang out. Layers of colorful light waves vibrated out with Sun Hao's fingers, rushing out like flowing clouds, enveloping everyone in the hall. Phew! The multicolored light drilled into everyone's meridians, rapidly strengthening their bodies and increasing their strength. After a while, Kacha, the sound of the barrier of the realm breaking rang out. Su Yiling opened her eyes, and a touch of surprise was written all over her face. I've broken through to the second level of the Sage realm so quickly. As expected of Young Master zither playing, it's really amazing. However, my stomach feels even hungrier, and I can eat even more. Su Yiling touched her stomach and muttered to herself. Then, she closed her eyes again and began to absorb the multicolored light around her. Kacha! The sound of the barrier breaking kept ringing out. Everyone's faces were filled with excitement, and it took them a long time to calm down. Time passed slowly. Soon, half a day had passed. Level 4 Saint Realm, unbelievable, breaking through several realms in half a day. Who else in the world can do that? This is all thanks to Young Master. Cries of alarm rang out continuously. Everyone's eyes swept over Sun Hao with a look of worship. Sun Hao waved his right hand and collected all the shackles around him. All right, everyone has the ability to cut off that mysterious power. Remember, what you need to do is to save as many people as possible. Set them free. Sun Hao said seriously. Yes, Young Master. Everyone cupped their fists and bowed. Brother Ning, I'll leave this to you. Sun Hao looked at Ning Mingji and said, Yes, Young Master. Ning Mingji stood up and nodded. Just as everyone stood up and prepared to leave. Report. A guard ran in quickly. Young Master, a woman named Qin Shilua outside said that she has something important to discuss with you. The guard said, Qin Shilua? Thinking of this name, Sun Hao thought of the land of inheritance. He walked around the alien war battlefield, but didn't find any legacy land. There wasn't even a voice calling out to him. Did he really have to go through Qin Shilua's map to enter the land of inheritance? Thinking like this, Sun Hao secretly nodded. Let her in. Yes. The guards quickly retreated. Very soon, a graceful woman leisurely walked over. Every step she took was extremely tempting, causing one's mind to ripple. The person who came was Qin Shilua. Swish, all eyes were on Qin Shilua. Everyone had a different expression in their eyes. Qin Shilua smiled slightly, and a flash of surprise flashed across his face. Greetings, Senior Li Hua. Qin Shilua bowed and saluted. As soon as these words came out, everyone's face was full of doubts. But Sun Hao didn't say it. and no one pierced this layer of window paper. No need to be polite. Sun Hao smiled slightly, and his eyes were as if to see through Qin Shiluo. Do you still think I am the Lihua demonic ancestor? Sun Hao said with a smile. Qin Shiluo looked startled, showing a sweet smile. Senior, with your strength, it is far beyond the Lihua demonic ancestor. If you don't deny it, I can't change it. Qin Shiluo said. Sun Hao didn't speak, just looked at Qin Shiluo calmly. Qin Shiluo's face was full of smiles. Her face did not change, and her mood did not fluctuate. What is the matter with me this time? Sun Hao asked. Senior, you already know. I don't need to say more. Qin Shiluo said. That's fine. Sun Hao stood up, his eyes swept to Ning Mingji, and said, Brother Ning, everything is up to you. I still have something to do, so I will leave first. Don't worry, I will come back as soon as possible. After speaking, Sun Hao and Qin Shiluo's figures disappeared at the same time, without a trace. When they appeared again, the two came to a mountain range. Is it here? Sun Hao asked. Senior, the map in my mind shows that the entrance is just here. Qin Shiluo looked at the mountain range and said with a frown. Sun Hao released his divine sense and scanned the entire mountain range, but found nothing. Before, he had also been here and also scanned, but he didn't find anything. No matter what this Qin Shiluo planned, she had to take him to find the inheritance land. Are you sure? Sun Hao asked. It shouldn't be wrong, right? Qin Shiluo scratched her head, showing a puzzled expression. Sun Hao looked at the mountain range in front of him, raised his fist, aimed at the front, and punched. Buzz, heaven and earth trembled, and the waves of air shook out. The whole world was shaking. Kacha! The sound of glass breaking rang out. The space in front of Sun Hao shattered inch by inch. Whoosh! The endless space turbulence blew up in Sun Hao's body. On his body, layers of fire splashed, as if cutting metal. However, it did not leave any injuries on his body. Buzz! In Sun Hao's eyes, two rays of light burst out, opening a path in the turbulence of space, leading directly to the distance. Sun Hao narrowed his eyes and stared directly into the depths of the turbulence of space, as if he could see through everything. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows, and a strange light bloomed in his eyes. Buzz! Suddenly, there was a tremor in the soul space, as if something was about to jump out. Sun Hao covered his chest, showing a painful look. Senior, are you okay? Qin Shiluo hurriedly stepped forward and supported Sun Hao. Her gentle little hand gently stroked Sun Hao's chest. For a long time, Sun Hao gradually calmed down. He looked at the space that had regained its calm, withdrew his gaze, and looked directly at Qin Shiluo. Senior, how is it? Did you find anything? Qin Shiluo asked. You're right, it's really here. Sun Hao nodded slightly. Hearing this, Qin Shiluo raised the corner of her mouth and let out a long sigh of relief. It's good here. I was afraid that Senior would think I lied to you and slap me to death. Qin Shiluo showed a look of survival after a disaster. Aren't you afraid that I'll slap you to death now? Sun Hao asked. Senior, how can you go back on your words? Qin Shiluo began to flatter. Chapter 604. Boom! Sun Hao stretched out his hand and blasted a palm forward again. Suddenly, heaven and earth exploded, and all the scenery, along with the space, burst apart, exploding into powder. All around, there was a tsunami-like space turbulence. These space turbulence, without any rules, flew around, and wherever they went, they could drown everything. In the eyes of people, their scalp was numb. Qin Shiluo looked at the surrounding space turbulence, shivering with fear, and hurriedly hid behind Sun Hao. However, where was it useful? The space turbulence, rushing down rapidly, drowned her at once. Qin Shiluo mobilized her power, formed a shield, and covered her body. Kacha! In just an instant, the shield on her body burst open. Immediately afterward, these space turbulence rushed over and quickly cut her body. Puff stab. Scars were all over Qin Shiluo's body. Boom! An arm was directly cut off and taken away by the space turbulence. Blood mist spurted. Senior, Help me. Qin Shilua's face changed drastically, and she used all her strength to shout this sentence. However, after shouting this sentence, her limbs were once again cut by the space turbulence. Whoosh! The spatial turbulence surged over once more, wrapping around her entire body. This, Qin Shilua's eyes widened, and her face was full of unwillingness. Hesitation flickered across her face. Finally, she closed her eyes and waited quietly for death, seeing that Qin Shilua was about to be cut into pieces. At this time, boom! With a loud bang, all the spatial turbulence was shattered and disappeared without a trace. Oh! A ray of colorful light rushed down from Sun Hao's hand, wrapping Qin Shilua. Qin Shilua's injuries recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her limbs grew out again. She stood up and knelt down at Sun Hao. "Thank you, Senior, for saving my life." Qin Shilua kowtowed repeatedly. "No need. Get up, stand around me, so that you won't be cut by the turbulence." Sun Hao said, "Yes, Senior." Qin Shilua began to tidy up her clothes, holding the two balls from time to time and shaking them gently. The erotic scene was indescribable. However, all this was completely ignored in Sun Hao's eyes. Qin Shilua looked good, but compared to Ruming, he was much weaker. Not to mention, these days in the soul space, he was doing dual cultivation with another person every day, experiencing the bliss of the world. Seeing that the seduction failed, Qin Shilua's eyes flashed with disappointment, and he stood honestly in front of Sun Hao. "Follow me." After saying that, Sun Hao opened his footsteps and walked forward. Buzz, he took a step forward, and the turbulent space in front of him trembled, opening up a path. Sun Hao walked forward step by step, and Qin Shilua followed closely behind him. She grabbed the corner of Sun Hao's clothes tightly, showing a nervous expression. He looked as if he had seen a terrifying monster and was extremely terrified. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Now, the two of them stopped and looked at the sky together with shocked expressions. They saw, in front of the two of them, was a large hall. The hall was 1,000 meters tall and completely black. A metallic luster radiated from it, making it look indestructible. That kind of majestic momentum surged up and swept in all directions. With the hall as the center, within 10,000 meters, there was no space turbulence approaching. "It's really here. What a magnificent hall, the Tao Ancestor's inheritance. It's really not simple." Qin Shilua looked at the hall, her eyes full of shock. A touch of excitement flashed in her eyes. "Senior, the Tao Ancestor's inheritance has been found. You could go get the inheritance." Qin Shilua said. "Don't you want it?" Sun Hao said. "Yes." Qin Shilua nodded again and again. "However, with my strength, how can I be qualified to get the inheritance? These inheritances belong to you. The little girl only needs you to give me a little." Qin Shilua knelt on the ground, showing a look of fear. Sun Hao did not answer her, but walked forward calmly. That appearance, like a powerful person who controls everything. Buzz, every step Sun Hao took, it would shake up layers of ripples. Buzz, suddenly there was a shock. The pressure on the hall, like the Milky Way pouring down, rushed straight to Sun Hao. Boom! It hit Sun Hao, and a deafening sound burst out. The shock waves spread out layer by layer, whistling between heaven and earth. Boom! These shock waves hit the turbulence of space and directly blasted into nothingness. The terrifying power in Qin Shilua's eyes showed a trace of shock. The corners of her mouth curled up into a faint smile. "It's a little interesting. I didn't expect this little guy to grow up again. Fortunately, I was prepared. Otherwise, it would take a lot of effort." Qin Shiluo thought secretly, and soon she recovered her panicked expression. Her heart was beating with Sun Hao's footsteps. Who dared to break into this seat's territory? A loud shout shook heaven and earth. A black figure, surging from the hall, turned into a black giant, looked at Sun Hao coldly. The majestic aura vibrated out. "Get out of the way." Sun Hao did not sign back to the black giant, but spoke coldly. "Presumptuous." A loud shout shook heaven and earth. The terrifying coercion surged, and all pressed on Sun Hao. Gotcha! There was a sound of joints rubbing. Sun Hao seemed to be unable to stand this kind of pressure, and his whole body bent down. His teeth were clenched, and he struggled to support his body to prevent himself from falling. Thump, thump, Sun Hao's heart beat violently. His entire face was flushed red. Sun Hao showed a face of pain. He covered his chest in pain. This seat is also what you ants can offend. Go to hell. After the black giant finished speaking, he pointed forward. Buzz. In front of him, the space shook out layers of ripples, and a black monster rushed out of the ripples and rushed straight to Sun Hao. Each black monster was 100 meters tall. Howl! He grinned and howled, and his mouth was full of black teeth that emitted a metallic luster, which made people feel cold in their hearts. Adversity beast. Seeing these monsters, Qin Shi couldn't help but be shocked, and in her eyes there was a trace of fear. Directly attack? Did I really make a mistake? This is unlikely. Qin Shi thought secretly, her face full of worry. Her gaze followed the black monsters as they ran. Seeing, the black monster was about to pounce on Sun Hao. At this time, all the black monsters stopped, stood in front of Sun Hao, and kept shaking their tails. That appearance was like licking dogs seeing their master return. At this moment, it was not only Sun Hao who was shocked in place. Even the black giant was stunned at the moment. Chapter 605. How is this possible? The black giant looked at the black monsters in front of Sun Hao, showing a look of disbelief. These monsters were all left by the master. Although there were only some remnant souls left, their nature was extremely fierce and would not listen to anyone's control. Unexpectedly, at this moment, they were facing that stranger like licking dogs. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Is he the master? Thinking of this, the black giant's eyes bloomed with two strange rays of light. Plop! Facing Sun Hao, he knelt down and began to kowtow. Greetings, master. After waiting for so many years, I finally see you. The black giant showed a face of excitement. That look, happy like a child. Sun Hao was stunned in place, and after a few long breaths, he calmed down. The corners of his mouth raised, and he took 2 steps forward. Get up, no need to be polite. Sun Hao said. Thank you, master. The black giant stood up with an excited face. He opened his big mouth and murmured for a long time without spitting out. There seemed to be thousands of words in his heart. A moment later, Master, please, this is the inheritance you left. Only you can open it. The black giant changed to the size of a normal person and made a gesture of invitation. Buzz, the coercion that enveloped Sun Hao disappeared. Sun Hao stepped out and stood in front of the hall in an instant. The black giant stood behind Sun Hao with a group of black monsters, like a majestic army, waiting for Sun Hao's orders. You guys stay here. I'm going in. After speaking, Sun Hao appeared in front of the hall door, stretched out 2 palms, and pushed toward the door. Qin Shi looked at Sun Hao's movements, and a strange light bloomed in her eyes. Her heart beat violently, and her whole person was extremely nervous. Buzz, a heavy friction sound rang out. As Sun Hao pressed his hands, the door of the hall opened quickly, without Sun Hao's effort. Who? Endless darkness came to his face, attracting the surrounding light clean. It was so dark that he couldn't see his fingers in front of him. People were shocked and sweating. What appeared in front of Sun Hao was like a black hole. Come on, come in quickly. I've waited too long, and I can't hold on anymore. The call came from the hall. Hearing these calls, Sun Hao frowned slightly. A wave of uneasiness surged in his heart. Not good. Sun Hao shouted that it was not good. When he was about to step away and escape, a change occurred in the sky. Buzz, there was a tremor. Waves of terrifying energy surged from all directions of the hall. In an instant, Sun Hao and the black giant were all wrapped up. This power was so powerful that it made one's hair stand on end. Sun Hao frowned and struggled hard, but found that he was trapped in a quagmire. The more he struggled, the more severely his body was imprisoned. After a while, Sun Hao was horrified to find that his limbs could not move. The only part that could move was the area above the neck. What's going on? Sensing that his body had been enveloped, the black giant's voice trembled as he looked around in fear. Suddenly, His gaze froze as he stared at the sky with a puzzled expression. They saw. A woman slowly descended from the sky. She was dressed in white, and the aura of the Saint Spirit realm surged out from her body. She looked like a goddess descending from the heavens, causing people to feel endless worship. This person was none other than Qin Shiluo. She looked at Sun Hao, and the corners of her mouth rose. Her calm expression was like that of a goddess in control of everything. "It's you. How is this possible?" Sun Hao's eyes showed deep surprise, and his face was full of puzzlement. Hee. Qin Shiluo smiled slightly, extremely calm. "Yes, it's me. Didn't expect it, Sun Hao," Qin Shiluo said. Sun Hao lowered his head, revealing a thoughtful look. After thinking for a moment, he was also puzzled. "How could it be you? Isn't your strength the god Emperor realm?" Sun Hao said. "Ha ha." Qin Shiluo looked up to the sky and roared like crazy. It was as if he had heard the best joke in the world. That arrogant appearance was indescribable in words. "Yes, it's me. Let me tell you, in fact, everything about you is under my control. Why don't you believe it?" Qin Shiluo looked at Sun Hao with a smile and said, "Impossible." Sun Hao shook his head. "Ha. Since you helped me open the inheritance, then I will tell you everything. Let you die to understand. Your name is Sun Hao, and you were a Tao ancestor in your previous life. In your previous life, you controlled thousands of heavenly law, and your means were very strong. Even in this life, you are also very powerful on the heavenly law of formations. No matter what kind of formation you set up, you only need a finger to break it. However, what I arranged is not a formation, but a secret method. Moreover, it is a secret method that uses the innate holy treasure. Unless your strength is far stronger than mine, otherwise, don't even think about breaking it." Speaking of this, Qin Shiluo stopped and looked at Sun Hao with a smile. Sun Hao's face was full of sadness and unwillingness contained in it. Seeing Sun Hao's expression, the pride on Qin Shiluo's face became more obvious. "Sun Hao, I know, your realm is now the Saint Ninth Stage realm, right? Only one step away from the Holy Spirit realm. You are a peerless genius, and it is not a problem for you to challenge the realm. If I'm right, your current physical body with the realm, killing the Holy Spirit First Stage Master is no problem. Even if you can fight the Holy Spirit Second Stage Master. I'm right, right?" Qin Shiluo said. How could you know?" Sun Hao looked puzzled. "Huh?" Qin Shiluo laughed proudly, and it took a long time to calm down. "Sun Hao, I'll tell you, my strength is the Holy Spirit Second Stage realm. With your current physical body, I think you can fight me equally. However, I have the assistance of the innate holy treasure, and it is no problem to deal with the Holy Spirit Third Stage realm. In front of me, you have no chance of winning. Are you desperate?" "Ha ha." Speaking of this, Qin Shiluo laughed again, and his crazy appearance was indescribable. "Who are you?" Sun Hao asked. "There is no problem telling you. I am one of the Dark Taboo generals, Hun Luo." Qin Shiluo raised his head high with a proud face. Hun Luo. Sun Hao frowned with a puzzled face. Obviously, he had never heard of this name. "Since you have captured me, then let Huang Yoli and the others go," Sun Hao said. "Huang Yoli? Who is she?" Qin Shiluo looked puzzled. "You don't know? Then why did you capture them to threaten me? Also, did you also capture Huang Romeng?" Sun Hao said. "Capture people to threaten you? My lord is proud and arrogant. How can he capture your people to threaten you? I think you must have made a mistake," Qin Shiluo said. "Not you?" Sun Hao frowned, showing a puzzled look. "Then who captured Romeng? And who was it that captured Huang Yoli?"